CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 6 o'clock on Wednesday, August 19th. We have a mainly sunny day, little fog with us potentially this morning, depending on where you are. Get you a full forecast in just a moment. Right now, it's time for the 6 o'clock news, and here is Lisa Best.
Thank you, Ryan. Good morning. We have 129 active wildfires burning in the province as of this hour. We've had 6 starts in the last 24 hours. 44 are considered out of control, including 8 to 9 that are burning here on Vancouver Island. Yesterday, BC's top public health officer warning residents about the health effects of wildfire smoke. Dr. Bonnie Henry says wildfires have unfortunately become part of the summer experience here, noting that climate anxiety is one of the leading reasons that young people reach out for mental health help.
For some people, young people I've talked to, it's almost like dreading summer, which is really sad. And it's something that we as a society need to think about in terms of these are man-made climate change effects.
Her comments come as about 3,000 Summerlin residents who were evacuated due to the nearby Bald Range wildfire earlier this month were permitted to return home. That fire is still burning, covering some 220 square kilometers of land, but crews recently contained several fire spots along its northwestern flanks, so they're slowly chipping away at it. Officials say 150 structures have been damaged or destroyed, including about 110 in the community of Falder, which is a population of 215, and Meadow Valley area, as well as 40 buildings in Summerlin. The BC Wildfire Service says dry fuels and possible stronger winds later this week could increase fire activity, while smoke and smoldering ground fires may continue for weeks here on Vancouver Island. We are expecting a smattering of rain possibly on the weekend, so fingers crossed that comes to fruition. A fire narrowly averted for the moment between Canada and the U.S. The U.S. president says that the U.S. and Canada have struck a deal on tariffs.
Less than 2 hours before he was set to impose 50% tariffs on $20 billion worth of Canadian imports, President Trump announced on social media that the U.S. and Canada have a deal. Subject, he writes, to the finalization of documents. Trump's import taxes would have hit about 5% of what Canada ships to the U.S., including products ranging from hockey sticks to tongue depressors. And Canada had threatened to respond in kind. But those sanctions are now delayed, buying time for more negotiations and avoiding, for now, yet another strain in already tense relations between historic allies. Ben Thomas, Washington.
A new Royal LePage survey suggests most Canadian homeowners have been managing higher mortgage payments as the first wave of ultra-low-rate renewals approaches. 38% of more than 1,100 respondents expect their payment to rise at renewal, down from 57% in early 2025. Among those expecting higher costs, 76% say the increase will strain their household finances, and more than half plan to cut discretionary spending. Royal LePage says mortgage delinquencies remain low, and the widespread default crisis some feared has not materialized. Next door in Alberta, the government will be hosting its first town hall on AI data centers tonight.
The town hall is in the central Alberta town of Lacombe and will be hosted by Technology Minister Nate Glubish. Data center development has faced fierce pushback in the province. That's over concerns around water use, pollution, and the potential impact on electricity bills. All concerns Premier Danielle Smith has sought to quell. Opponents say the government's consultations are disingenuous. 2 more in-person events are scheduled near planned data center sites, one on Thursday in Sturgeon County, north of Edmonton, and another next month in Grand Prairie. Smith herself is set to join Glubish for a virtual town hall next week. Aaron Sousa, The Canadian Press.
Opening statements began yesterday in the landmark case against Meta, the social media company that owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Several state attorney generals accusing Meta of designing a dangerous product for young users and claiming Meta knew it was dangerous and lied about it. ABC's Mike Dubusky was on the Start Here podcast.
They're basically arguing that those features were designed to get young people engaged on the platform for long periods of time, and that resulted in all these negative health outcomes, everything from body dysmorphia to anxiety to, in some cases, suicidal ideation.
A new accusations from the family of actress Hayden Panettiere against her boyfriend, who was reportedly at her home at her time of death.
According to police, Panettiere's on and off again boyfriend Brian Hickerson and his brother Zach were also there. Police say they found no indications of foul play or suspicious circumstances, and the preliminary autopsy found no signs of trauma, with her cause of death still pending. Now Panettiere's mother is speaking out in a new interview, saying this person in her life that we've been trying to get rid of for quite some time was with her at her death, and that was Brian Hickerson.
More to come on this story. That's your news to 6:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning, we're asking, do you think the federal government is being firm enough with trade negotiations with the U.S.? 79% saying no. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, also the iHeartRadio app. At least the best your news time is 6:07.
Thanks, Lisa, and good morning. Welcome to the day. Welcome to Wednesday. We have a little fog out there depending on where you are. 13 degrees right now, and the sun is about to rise. Official sunrise at 6:13. That's about 5 minutes from now. I'm already starting to see the dawn kind of creeping in. Get you a full sense of the weather in just a moment, but right now, let's talk about the sports. I've been continuing to follow the Victoria Junior A Shamrocks at the Minto Cup. Day 3 action yesterday saw the Junior Shamrocks get a win. They defeated and eliminated the St. Catharines Athletics. 14-7 was the score. This is still in the round robin stage of the tournament, where each of the 4 teams involved will play each other once, and the top 2 will move on. Victoria now has 1 win and 2 losses. Technically still has hope to move on with another game yet to play. Over to soccer. All 3 Canadian Major League Soccer squads are in action tonight, including the Western Conference leading Vancouver Whitecaps, who host the Houston Dynamo in a first versus second showdown. The Caps are 2 points up on the Dynamo. Elsewhere, Toronto FC hosts Charlotte, and CF Montreal visits the Columbus Crew. In basketball, the Toronto Tempo will be aiming to shake an 11-game WNBA winning streak tonight when they visit the Washington Mystics. The Tempo lost 101-95 last night to the visiting Indiana Fever as Caitlin Clark played her first ever game in Canada. Clark had 24 points and 7 assists for the visitors. Apparently it was a sold-out game to see the likes of Caitlin Clark in Canada. That is your CFAX 1070 Sports at 6:08. 6:09 is the time in Victoria. Let's check our traffic and weather. I'll start with the weather. I was mentioning it earlier about how we got some possible fog out there. It's 13 degrees right now. Well, for the rest of the day, here's what you can expect. A mainly sunny day. Highs of 23, a little cooler by the water, but some humidity in the air at times, making it feel a bit warmer. Very much like the last few days. It's kind of just stable weather carrying on here. Clear skies tonight, lows to 14. Tomorrow, more sunshine, a little breeze off the water. Temperatures are staying very much the same. Same again on Friday. Still expecting clouds, though, to roll in for the weekend. Saturday and Sunday looking overcast. Still no rain in the forecast, just the clouds. Let's take a look at the temperatures right now for Victoria downtown. It is 14 degrees. In Oak Bay, just down the way, it's 12 degrees if you get right by the water. On the markets, opening bells will ring a little later this hour, so let's take a look at how things closed off yesterday with Aaron Sousa.
Canada's main stock index slipped yesterday. Toronto's S&P TSX down 299 points to 36,367. In New York, the Dow retreated 116 points. The Nasdaq shed 355. In Tokyo this morning, the Nikkei dropped sharply by 3.1%. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong edged up slightly. Our dollar trading near 72.09 cents US. Canada has temporarily escaped new tariffs by the U.S. President Donald Trump last night delaying the 50% levies for 3 days. Prime Minister Mark Carney says there's been substantial progress in trade talks, though more work remains. A survey by Royal LePage finds most Canadian homeowners are managing higher mortgage payments. It suggests 38% of more than 1,100 respondents expect increases on renewal. And Alberta hosts its first of several town halls on AI data centers tonight. It comes amid concerns over water use, pollution, and power. Critics say the government's consultations are disingenuous. From the Canadian Press Business Desk, I'm Aaron Sousa.
Let's get started. Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to the day. Welcome to the show. It's Ryan. It's Lisa. We're here. Lisa, how you doing?
We're here. You know, it's Wednesday.
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
You know what yesterday was?
What?
It was Tuesday.
Go figure.
And what happens on a Tuesday?
You got me.
Isn't that the day that Trump historically backs off of whatever he's threatened to do?
Well, we've lovingly started calling it Taco, which is
Taco Tuesday.
Yeah.
Isn't that what people call it?
Which is the acronym for Trump always chickens out.
Yeah,
which is what all the people. And the thing is, and whether you're for or against the camp, it has become a thing. Which is not really good poker when it comes to political playing.
Yesterday,
because you're showing your hands, right?
So yesterday at like 10 o'clock Eastern time, which was only a couple of hours before this deadline for the U.S. president's threatened 50% tariffs on a number of Canadian goods, about 2 hours Eastern time before that was supposed to kick in, we got that social media post where he said we're delaying it for 3 days. Substantial progress in a deal, delaying it for 3 days. So that is the update there. It didn't kick in.
Why 72 hours?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But somebody had a good line. I was reading a bunch of articles about this morning, just sort of trying to like piece together what all this means, because it's not like there's a deal that's done. It's not like these 50% tariffs are completely gone. They're just pushed down the road for 3 days. Somebody described it as excellent reality TV. You leave them on a cliffhanger, but terrible for business.
Agreed.
It's just more uncertainty. So we're not necessarily left with a clear sense of what's happening. We've got a sense that at least the really big bad thing, the 50% tariffs, aren't going to happen as of, a few hours ago. That was when they were going to kick in. So at least that hasn't happened, but they're still dangling over us, and there's still not necessarily a deal. Terrible for business, great reality TV.
Agreed. And the dangling is all part of, I believe, his process. And I guess what the biggest thing we have in our camp is, like him or not, whoever you voted for, Mark Carney is a former Bank of Canada governor, a former Bank of England governor. He does know his way and play at the poker table and how to play his cards tight, close to his chest, as it were. When you continue to capitulate in the 11th hour, as the U.S. president has repeatedly, and that's history, that's truth, then you start to realize who you're playing against, and you can formulate a plan based on that, hopefully, as Canada hopefully has. BC has a lot hanging on this. So we are paying attention to this with rapt interest. It has not been good for BC with these tariffs coming into effect. And there's a lot of fallout still to come from it, even with the 72-hour reprieve, as it were. But at least, we'd like to say it gives us a bit of breathing room. But I think we've stopped thinking that way about it, because there's always something else. There's always some other drama. There's some other cliffhanger to come for us.
Well, unpacking what it means for BCs, we're going to spend a lot of time doing, because, as I mentioned, there's still some uncertainty here, even if we dodged the big bullet last night. We mentioned British Columbia has a few sectors that are targeted here if the tariffs were to come into effect. Forestry is a big one, but so is wine. Alcohol, Canadian alcohol, is one of the things that is being targeted by these threatened tariffs. So we're going to reach out to the wine industry here in BC a little later this hour, the Wine Growers Association. They'll be joining us just to talk about how they're feeling right now about, well, I guess missing the tariffs, but also the uncertainty that's still hanging over them.
Right.
What does this mean for the wine industry? Do we actually export that much? Here's the other thing about BC wine. We tend to consume a lot of our own. So how big of a deal is it for us to have American exports of wine specifically? I'm curious. I want to ask that. And then we've got a couple of members of Parliament locally from both sides of the House. We got Liberal MP Will Greaves talking about how the government's dealing with this. He's going to be joining us later in the 7 o'clock hour this morning. And then Jeff Kibble, local Conservative MP from the opposition, talking about their take on all of this. So lots of ways to try to digest the news and figure out where we're sitting today after, again, last night, the tariffs got delayed, not canceled. The deal isn't done, but things got kind of kicked down the road 3 days.
That's right.
Yeah. Scratching our heads. Okay, we'll keep going with that coverage. Stay tuned, but right now it's 6:16 and time for the headlines. Here's Lisa.
The Canadian Real Estate Association says this province, BC, is one of the only 2 regions in Canada where home prices fell year over year in the month of July. The organization says Ontario also saw a drop in year-over-year prices last month, but all of the regions gained against 2025 levels. The number comes as home sales across Canada were down on a year-to-year basis last month, but saw a small gain month over month. The organization says regions such as here in BC and Ontario have seen inventory converging towards long-term averages, although places such as Saskatchewan are still borderline sellers' markets. A Ukrainian man wanted in connection with the 2022 Nord Stream pipelines explosions has been arrested in Croatia. German prosecutors say the suspect, a trained scuba diver, was part of a group that planted explosives on the pipelines in the Baltic Sea. The explosions damaged the pipelines, which were built to carry Russian gas to Germany, adding to tensions in the war of Ukraine. The suspect was previously arrested in Poland, but released when a court refused extradition. Another suspect, a former Ukrainian army officer, was charged last month in Germany. And tributes grow for Frank Beard, the drummer of ZZ Top, who died yesterday at his ranch in Richmond, Texas. ZZ Top sold over 50 million records, had 6 #1 singles on the Billboard Mainstream Rock Airplay chart. The band, formed in 1969, and had many hits, including Legs and Sharp Dressed Man. They maintained their original lineup for over 50 years. The unique style and sense of humor brought them a lot of popularity in Hollywood, MTV. Beard is survived by his wife, Debbie Meredith, and their 3 adult children. That is your news to 6:18.
We'll take a break. Traffic and weather updated next, and then continuing to cover some of the big stories in the day, including the wildfire situation. I hear that some folks are getting to go home in Summerland. That's some good news. We had a scare here locally with a Mount Ptolemy fire that took place yesterday, and a big old news conference with Bonnie Henry and the forest minister and all them. What did we learn? We're going to talk about it all next. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. The time is 6:20. This is not a thing now, but I know last evening, folks on the Trans-Canada Highway sure noticed a big delay. There was a multi-vehicle collision just after 6 o'clock on the Trans-Canada Highway, not far from kind of just to the west of Admiral's Mackenzie there. It's all cleared up now, though, as of this morning. I mean, not that I think you would expect it to still be going at this point, but just to let you know, it's all clear. Everything's done and dusted, and traffic is moving fine this morning. For the weather forecast today, mainly sunny. We got a little fog out there this morning. Highs of 23, a little cooler by the water. Humidex, though, of 27, so very varying temperatures depending on where you are. Clear skies and lows of 14 tonight, and then tomorrow looks exactly the same again. It's just this continuing stable weather. Same for Friday. The difference comes Saturday and Sunday when we get some clouds. It'll be mostly overcast for those days. Still no rain in that forecast. A little cooler, too, for Saturday and Sunday. Highs of more like 20 degrees instead of these mid-20 temperatures we've been having for the last few days and continue to have. Right now for the temperatures, so we are starting sunrise here at about 14 degrees in downtown Victoria. It's 13 at the Victoria International Airport.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Yeah, a little bit of a scare for fires in Victoria as there was a grass fire on top of Mount Tolmie. It got quickly extinguished yesterday afternoon. Saanich firefighters came and dealt with it very quick. It was just after kind of 12, just after noon. Got to about 20 meters by 20 meters. They got it out quick, but I guess just another sign that even though Victoria, we've been dodging some of these wildfires here, and, the island has, I shouldn't say dodged it because we've had plenty of fires, but we've done okay this fire season. But it's just a sign that we're still kind of on that, high risk factor for fires. And
Agreed.
That happened on Mount Tolmie. So careful, everybody. Everything's dry.
Extremely dry.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see it. You can see the leaves on the trees drooping. Of course, the grass is brown. And that's even with the smattering of rain that we've had. Like historically, July and August, we usually don't get much.
Yeah.
And we've actually had a bit. And we may come into a little bit of precipitation this weekend, but it's not going to be enough to, it's kind of a drop in the bucket at this point for the amount of rain we need in order to stave off the chance of fire. I'm also seeing online the possibility that there was a quick fire, or Saanich Fire made quick work of it last night around Uptown.
Okay.
A tree was on fire. So I'm seeing this on social media. I don't have confirmation on it yet, but it's pretty dramatic footage on social media that's popping up of a fire that, thankfully Saanich Fire was on scene quickly. It was sort of in the brush just on the other side of the highway from Uptown. Dealing with that too, so obviously made quick work of that. And spot fires, right, breaking out for whatever reason, making a quick work of it because it's a matter of getting the fire out in a timely fashion rather than have it spread, as we've seen in many of the communities.
And then just near Ladysmith last night, a wildfire sparked. Tiny one, 0.1 hectares, but folks in Ladysmith kind of nervously watching this wildfire last night that is burning very small and being held, it said, but pretty close to town. So, here on the island, getting all of these little stories. And at the same time that Mount Tolmie one was going,
right,
and they were dealing with that, putting it out successfully. We had officials like Medical Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry and Forest Minister Ravi Parmar holding a news conference, which in the end, it seemed like they were just telling us, be careful in the smoke.
Yes.
For the smoke-ravaged regions of BC. We have, again, not seen it as much here in Victoria, although we did last week. But a lot of talk about smoke.
Right? Don't we normally historically have the wind shift at some point in the summer, in general? But usually September is when we notice that the smoke really comes in here. Now, I can see you looking at me thinking, no, I got to think about this. But
yeah, I'm trying to remember.
I hope I'm not right.
Yeah, I think... I think you're right. I don't know though. I'm not a weather guy. I just play one on TV. I don't remember what actually happened.
Doctor too, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, anything you want. No, but yesterday it seemed like there wasn't a ton except for maybe just be cautious in the smoke.
Yeah, and firesmoke.ca is looking like the smoke is coming in and out. We don't have a lot of heavy smoke coming in, but we will have remnants of it. You'll notice it in the air. Looks like around 9 o'clock tonight, it's going to clear out for quite a while overnight. and then slowly coming in, or I'm just watching it in real time here, slowly coming in around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock tomorrow. But actually, the next 24 hours or so, looks like we have a little bit of a reprieve from heavy smoke anyways. We haven't had a lot of heavy smoke.
Yeah.
The skies have been slightly beige, but nothing like we've had in previous years. Getting away from it. So far, so good. Other areas, not so much. And I know a lot of people there, late summer vacations to the Okanagan. Talked to a few friends who are planning to go up and are sort of nervously looking at the situation, trying to weigh whether they actually should go. They want to spend their tourism dollars there, but they also understand that this is an area sort of in crisis, and maybe they don't need tourists showing up. So we've got our experts coming up to talk about what's happening with the fire damage and what's happening with the region. And, let's talk wine, for example, next, because we do know a number of wineries have been damaged in that area. And I know that some of the local wine shops are actually promoting now Okanagan wine. They have labels in front of the wines that are specifically from the fire-ravaged regions saying, buy me and support the local wineries.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I like that.
I showed some love last weekend.
Oh, good.
Yeah, picked up a couple bottles simply because I can't go there and help right now, but I'll do anything I can. Well, buy their product, right? Support them however we can. And moving forward, like Soap for Hope, for example, is looking for toiletries to ship out to people.
Yeah, we talked to those folks just a few days ago. It was great to hear what they're doing with their donations. I love, by the way, just back on that Soap for Hope conversation. Yes. I thought it was so fascinating because they gather a lot of the soaps and shampoos and the little bottles that are in hotel rooms.
Yes.
I didn't realize that even ones that are unopened will just get taken out of the room because I guess they don't know. They have to be safe. They have to put brand new ones in every time, even if they haven't been opened,
right?
Seemingly. So all that stuff gets to go to a good place because those hotels can donate it to the Soap for Hope people, and then they can get sent to places like wildfire-ravaged parts of the Okanagan. So
fantastic.
It's a really interesting story. And they're Vic West based, so they're local. If that's an interview you can find if you go to our website, CFAX1070.com, or follow us on the iHeartRadio app, because we put highlight clips up there of those kind of interviews. Or you can go to YouTube, where we're sticking all of the videos of our conversations, because you can watch the radio at YouTube or on CTV Vancouver Island.
It's all posted for you.
6:28 is the time. We're going to get to the 6:30 news in just a moment, talk more about the updates on these stories as we go. And like I said, still trying to unpack the Trump tariff update yesterday. They've been pushed off by 3 days. Our first exploration of this will be with the BC Wine Association, talking about how they're feeling, because wine and alcohol, one of the things targeted. But since we got him, he's also, of course, representing the Okanagan. Might ask him how things are feeling there, with some people being allowed back home in Summerland. What about the wineries? What have we learned? So a few things to update when we talk to the BC Wine Association at the end of the hour. Right now, we'll take a break.
Where the noise stops and the conversation begins.
Hey, it's Friday. Welcome to the Graham Richardson Show.
The stories that shaped your week aren't just headlines. They are the moments we live through and the decisions that change what comes next.
Let's take a closer look at that together.
It's national conversations, from major policy shifts to the fun, unexpected trends and friends everyone will be talking about. It is intelligent, unpredictable, and completely Canadian. Stay informed. Stay ahead. The Graham Richardson Show, Friday morning at 9 a.m. right here on CFAX 1070. CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 6:31, Wednesday, August 19th. It's going to be another sunny day, kind of warm, just like yesterday. A little breezy off the water, just like yesterday. We've got a full forecast in just a moment. Right now, though, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Thank you. An 11th hour reprieve after word that Canada and the U.S. have reached a deal, a pending trade deal. The news was first shared by the U.S. president late last night on social media. The deadline for his 50% tariff threats now pushed back to Friday, so officials can better sort out the terms of this new agreement. Prime Minister Mark Carney followed Donald Trump's announcement with a statement of his own last night to say that substantial progress has been made, but there's still more important work to be done. CTV's Michael Couture has some of the latest we're hearing about the deal on the American side.
We also are seeing a statement for United States Trade Representative Jamieson Greer. The deal will include comprehensive market access for all American goods, economic security commitments, digital trade alignment, and many important provisions that will continue to protect our market and American workers along with our Canadian partners.
Details on this side of the border still remain murky. CTV chief political correspondent and CFAX host Vashi Capello says what she's hearing so far is coming from U.S. sources, not sources from our federal government.
We will roll back counter tariffs on autos, for example, that will make adjustments to dairy quotas, and that alcohol will get back on the shelves are things that have at least tentatively been agreed to. At least 3 or 4 premier staffers who I'm in touch with say there's no information at this hour yet communicated from the federal government to those premiers.
The revival of the Keystone XL pipeline has also been brought up as part of the deal, but again, details around this remain unclear. A BC wildfire update this hour, 129 fires burning, 44 out of control. There are 20 fires burning on Vancouver Island. 8 are considered out of control. There's been 6 starts in the last 24 hours in BC. 87% of the fires so far this season have been caused by lightning strikes. The rest, human. Forest Minister Ravi Parmar spoke yesterday on the vast amount of wildfire misinformation that is unfortunately circulating online.
It is so incredibly important for all British Columbians to get information from important news sources while also downloading the BC Wildfire app.
Be viable news sources. Officials in the Okanagan region sharing news that the Bald Range wildfire destroyed or damaged about 150 structures, 40 of those in Summerland, a lot of them in the village of Faldner, which has a population of just over 200. Much of BC has spent weeks now under air quality warnings. Wildfire smoke exposure has been linked to a myriad of health issues, from breathing problems to brain fog. For today, firesmoke.ca shows wildfire smoke levels will be fairly light over the Greater Victoria area and will actually clear out at different times. Amazon plans to offer drone deliveries to millions of people across North America this year.
Millions more people may be able to get smaller, lightweight Amazon packages delivered by drones by the end of the year. The company plans to expand their airborne shipping to suburban areas in nearly 500 U.S. cities, intensifying the battle between Amazon and Walmart to provide customers with the fastest delivery times. Amazon says that customers could receive drone deliveries of packages up to 5 pounds in as fast as 30 minutes. The federal government has proposed a rule that would allow more drone operators to fly beyond the horizon, but that has not yet been finalized. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
And a public funeral service for Montreal jazz icon Oliver Jones will happen tomorrow at a historic church in the city's Little Burgundy neighborhood. Jones will be remembered at Union United, where he first began playing piano at the age of 5. Before the funeral, the City of Montreal will hold a public viewing for Jones today at the Hall of Honor at Montreal City Hall. Jones built an acclaimed international career that spanned more than 70 years, earning a reputation as one of Canada's foremost jazz pianists. He died July 22nd at the age of 91. And that is your news to 6:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question. Do you think the federal government is being firm enough in trade negotiations with the U.S.? Nearly 80% say no. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or also in the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time is 6:37.
Thanks, Lisa. We are looking at 12 degrees right now at the airport. It actually dropped a degree. A little cooler.
Okay.
But the sun's up now. It should start to warm up pretty soon as we get into the day. Maybe some fog out there, depending on where you are. We'll get you the full forecast in just a moment. Right now, over to the sports, where in lacrosse at the 2026 Minto Cup, Day 3 action last night saw the Victoria Junior Shamrocks defeat and eliminate the St. Catharines Athletics 14-7. So they lost 3 games now, which means there's no way mathematically for them to carry on out of this round robin, which is the 4 teams in the Minto Cup playing each other once. The top 2 teams go on to the knockout stage, and the Shamrocks knock off St. Catharines Athletics. How are the Shamrocks doing? The Junior A Shamrocks, well, they've got 1 win now with that one, but 2 losses. They technically still have a hope to move on, but they're going to have to make the next one count. Senior Shamrocks, their Game 3 of the WLA Final Series against the Coquitlam Adanacs goes tonight at the Q Center. That series tied up at 1 game apiece. For baseball, the Blue Jays got back to their winning ways last night to kick off a 6-game road trip in a ballpark that's been their worst nightmare over the last decade. Toronto's Bats came alive at Tropicana Field against the American League leading Tampa Bay Rays.
The Blue Jays come into the Trop and break out the lumber. They scored 10 runs on 17 hits. They hit 3 homers. They're now 6-2 in this 8-game stretch.
The Jays remain just a half game back at the final AL wildcard playoff spot, and they're back at it tonight with veteran pitcher Max Scherzer on the mound. And for soccer, Major League Soccer, all Canadian squads in action tonight, including Western Conference leading Vancouver Whitecaps hosting the Houston Dynamo in a first versus second showdown. Caps are at the top, 2 points up on the Dynamo. Elsewhere, Toronto FC hosts Charlotte, while CF Montreal visits the Columbus Crew. That is your CFAX 1070 Sports. It is now 6:39.
The Whole Home Show with Tony Joe.
Everyone wants to know about real estate. Is the market going up or down? Time to buy or sell? How can government programs and policies affect you? Hear from local experts on topics like appraisal, inspection, investment, and others on how to maximize your real estate sale.
Providing info on everything you needed to know about real estate. The Whole Home Show with Tony Joe. Saturdays at noon on CFAX 1070.
CFAX traffic and weather. By the way, the whole morning show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. Designed for comfort, South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. On the roads, no major incidents right now. That big crash on the Trans-Canada from last night is all cleared up as of this morning. We do have people slowing down for the construction zone, though, so it is a little slow coming into town, but that's just the normal thing. Otherwise, the volume delays are looking pretty typical for a summer Wednesday. BC Ferries. Haven't checked BC Ferries yet this morning. 7 o'clock sailing is coming up from Sports Bay to Swanson. It's only half full, no sailing waits there. And in the weather forecast, a little fog could be with us this morning, but then we have mainly sunny skies again. Little breeze off the water. Highs at 23. Humidex at 27. Same forecast as yesterday, basically. It's been very stable, and it's going to be stable for the next couple of days. It's going to get overcast on Saturday and Sunday. No rain, just some clouds, at least currently in the forecast. We'll keep an eye on that. And it's 12 degrees at the Victoria International Airport. On the markets, S&P TSX yesterday closing down nearly 300 points, down 299 to 36,367. That's the close yesterday. Just saw the opening bell start to ring across North American stock markets, awaiting today's first results. The Dow in New York was down 116 at the closing bell yesterday to 53,343. Canadian dollar in overseas trading up a little bit to 72.3 cents US. But of course, the big business news, we'll see how it affects the markets, was late last night. Donald Trump, U.S. president, delaying the 50% tariffs on Canada, but only for 3 days as negotiations continue. Let's unpack that.
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Yeah, Mark Carney, the Prime Minister, also speaking after Donald Trump's Truth Social post. The Prime Minister saying there's been substantial progress after the announcement that the new tariffs are being delayed by 3 days. The Prime Minister says in a statement there's still important work to do and that Canada is focused on building stronger, more independent and more competitive economies at home. Some Canadian officials have said they're looking to still see relief on existing tariffs that target steel, aluminum, lumber, and autos. So still working on that stuff. It's not a done deal yet. In Donald Trump's post, he had a couple of specific things. Mm-hmm. He mentioned the Keystone XL pipeline, saying it might have been awoken from the grave, is the quote in this. Now, the Prime Minister made no mention of that in his comments, although the Prime Minister was very,
smart.
I think the way you put it, Lisa, is he's kind of holding things close to his chest. The cards are being held close to his chest here. He's not saying a lot.
Yeah, media keeps saying, like other media keeps saying, we're not really getting a clear picture from the federal government. It's because they're trying to do a deal.
Yeah. And so whether or not you like that, I guess, is up for debate. But you can see what I think you can understand what he's trying to do there, especially with the U.S. president being so volatile. You don't necessarily want to say something that you don't accidentally want to release a Ronald Reagan ad during the Super Bowl that makes him go and
Doug Ford.
Yeah, you don't want to do. So I can see why he's learned, just keep it quiet. Don't
just get
rock the
business
boat.
Done. Or try to get business done.
But anyways, I thought that was just interesting. He didn't mention any of those points, but that's what the U.S. president was saying in his Truth Social post, specifically mentioned in the Keystone XL, which, by the way, was being worked on in a deal previously before it was that Ronald Reagan TV ad that did sort of send that off the rails originally. That was the Keystone XL thing was being worked on before that all happened.
Well, and that's its own firestorm. You know, the two and the for and against that.
Yeah.
So
what are our listeners saying about all of this? Texter at 71010 says the federal and provincial governments must not give any more concessions to the USA under the Trump administration. No more discounts on energy. It's not only very bad for business, all these on and off tariffs. Canadian security sovereignty also on the line. Canada, that includes all provincial governments, must seek new trading partners in democratic countries around the world. U.S. under Donald Trump is an adversary, not an ally. So that's one opinion coming in from one of our listeners.
It's unfortunate, but a lot of people feel that way.
Another listener saying, good morning, Ryan and Lisa. BC forest industry was in serious decline prior to Donald Trump, and alcohol is a diversion at best. This negotiation is about energy independence. And the texter goes, did you know that cannabis is BC's largest cash crop now, leaving fruit, etc. in the dust? So I don't know if he's tariffing our cannabis, but that's funny.
Wouldn't that be something? Yeah, because it's still illegal in many U.S. states.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Some of the opinions of our listeners. We're going to talk about the wine and the alcohol part of this specifically because the BC Wine Association joining us in a few moments for their reaction to all of the tariff roller coaster news. But also, I just want to check in on how the wildfires are treating Okanagan wildfire country. So we're going to get into that in just a moment. But first, it's time for the headlines. At 6:45, here again is Lisa.
We're learning Israel's military says it will launch a criminal investigation into 2 high-profile attacks on Palestinians during the war in Gaza. That includes a killing of a 5-year-old girl and her family and 15 Palestinian paramedics. The military said it would not launch criminal investigations into 3 other attacks that killed aid workers from World Central Kitchen when Doctors Without Borders released a new statement that said it has completed reviews of 150 incidents of troops' conduct in Gaza and made a decision on 5 separate cases. The U.S. president says he has delayed the tariffs, 50%, that were to come into effect today or at midnight on some Canadian goods until Friday. Now, in a social media post, the leader said the pause was due to Canada and the U.S. having a deal in the works. They just have to finalize things. Donald Trump pointed to the Keystone XL pipeline in his initial social media post following a fictional image of him slamming an illustration of the pipeline into the ground. The official proclamation of the tariff pause from the White House says Canada has expressed a commitment to remove, quote, discriminations that the U.S. said did not apply to other countries. An OpenAI is launching a chat GPT version designed for teens. As the first generation to grow up with artificial intelligence, teens are already using it for schoolwork, questions about daily life, even companionship. The San Francisco-based company says Chat GPT for teens is tailored for children aged 13 to 17. With stronger protections, including content restrictions around things like suicide, self-harm, and romantic and sexual chats. It's also providing homework and study support designed to help students rather than just spitting out answers in school essays for them. The idea is to guide teens towards healthy AI use in an age-appropriate environment. And that's your news to 647.
Thank you, Lisa. Checking traffic and weather in just a moment. If you see a problem out there, let us know at 7-10-10. And then we're going to talk to the BC Wine Growers Association. Several stories to update there with Jeff Ginyard, the president, next.
CFAX 1070 wants you to roar with the BC Lions.
It's Josh and Jade. How does you, three friends, and the BC Lions sound?
We can make it happen. All you got to do is listen.
This week, listen to Josh and Jade afternoons on CFAX 1070 for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to this weekend's home game at BC Place. Lions, Riders, and you. And you. Listen for your chance to win.
Touchdown, BC Lions!
Get details now at CFAX1070.com.
What a play!
Hey, it's 6:49, and it's time to check CFAX traffic and weather. No major issues on the roads. No delays at BC Ferries. It's a very easy start to our Wednesday. The weather, a little foggy at times out there. If you're looking out over the water, you're certainly seeing some fog patches around coastal parts of Greater Victoria, but otherwise we're going to be getting into a sunny day, a little wind off the water, highs of 23, a humidex of 27, and the same thing plays out again tomorrow. After tonight, we go down to about a 14-degree low.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, they didn't happen, but the threatened 50% tariffs on a number of Canadian goods did feature, among other targets, alcohol from Canada. Let's talk to the president and CEO of the Wine Growers of BC Group. Jeff Ginyard is here. Sir, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing all right, and I'm really curious to hear how the wine industry and just the alcohol industry in general in Canada is reacting to all this news, which we'll get to. But first off, just hang on. The last time you and I spoke, we were talking about the wildfires at the time ravaging Summerland, and I know things are easing off a little bit now. We might have a bit of a better sense. And first and foremost, our thoughts are with the people who've lost homes and have been displaced. But we were also talking about the wine industry and how it was being affected, because that is peak wine country in the Okanagan. So now that we're a little further into it, how are things looking?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So of the 300 or so wineries in BC, that Summerland area, we have like 24 of them right there. And, for the last week or so, our concern has obviously been about the people. Folks are starting to be able to come back home. That the fire's not fully under control, but it's being held on several fronts. So we're getting back in. There's some structural damage. It doesn't look like any winery has been catastrophically lost yet. And now we're turning our attention to trying to get irrigation back on, get power where we can, try and tend to the crops, make sure that they're okay. We've got to start doing some testing to see the impact of all that. But overall, it's pretty good news so far. A couple of people have lost houses for sure. So we're beginning the work. We're not in the recovery phase yet, but we're getting back in and being able to assess that. But everyone's breathing a sigh of relief on that front this morning, that we're mostly okay, we think.
That's good news. Jeff, I noticed local wine shops around Greater Victoria are actually really trying to promote the wines specifically from the regions it's been affected.
Yes.
I did buy a couple bottles on the weekend to just show support. It's one little thing we can do.
Absolutely. It's been a great campaign. We launched it out with BC's retailers and restaurants, and we really want to make sure that folks knew what they could do, no matter where you live in BC. You can't necessarily travel to Summerland right now. This is normally their busiest tourist season. So just when you're out this weekend, if you're buying a bottle of wine or a glass of wine or a beer or cider from that area, grab something from Summerland, something from BC, and then take a photo of yourself with it. Post it up online, #SummerlandStrong, just to show the community's support and keep the attention on it, because we really want to make sure that we grow back stronger from this on the other side, and helping them purchase some products right now is really the best way.
Well, it's good to hear that we're starting to turn the corner there for those wine producers in Summerland. Now, not only do we have fire uncertainty, now I've got trade uncertainty. How? Now, we know that it's a 3-day reprieve. We're still in the middle of all of this, but last night, U.S. President Donald Trump delaying those massive tariffs on some Canadian products. One of the products is alcohol. How is your industry reacting to the news last night and all of this? Tell me what's going through your head.
Yeah, the uncertainty about this is what drives you crazy a little bit, right? So first off, we're really glad that the negotiators are still at the table, still talking. They need a bit more time to hammer out a deal, but that means that they're working on hammering it out, right? And I saw the president even said they think that they're very close. So that's the good news. It's never made sense to put tariffs on Canadian wine. British Columbia exports very minimal amounts of wine down to the United States, but it's disproportionately punitive to the few wineries that do it, who spent years connecting with the American logistics chain and buyers down there, building that customer base and trying to get those businesses, right? So the Canadian wine industry and the American wine industry have never had any issues with each other. So it's a bit frustrating that we're even talking about this, given that, we've been friends and neighbors for ages, and we all want to move forward. I will say, though, the best response here in Canada is we can use this as a real opportunity to tear down interprovincial trade barriers. If there's a wall going up around the United States with tariffs, then we should make it easier to move Canadian goods across Canadian provincial borders so Canadians all across the province can drink it. So that's our focus on that.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned something that I've heard before that I think is very interesting, and I was thinking about a bit with all of this trade stuff. Because BC, we tend to consume a lot of our own wine, right? Like the Okanagan wines that are produced are mostly sold right here in this province. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. We have 9 wine regions across the province. The Cowichan Valley and the Island and Okanagan and Smoke. All those wines tend to be consumed locally. And we do over a little bit around Canada, particularly when, tourists come and visit. They want to bring some wine back home, or we've got some folks in Alberta who sell it, in Ontario. But yeah, for the most part, we consume it all here in the province or sell it here. So it's a very minimal impact. So it's not a significant trade irritant. It's always felt like this was a bit of a signal or a bit of a negotiating tactic for us, which is frustrating for those small businesses who have built their portfolio of products into some customers in the United States, and finding out that that's under threat because of an issue that you have nothing to do with and no ability to control. Which is one of the best way to handle this is, we've been talking about shipping Canadian wine across Canada, tearing down interprovincial barriers, making sure there's no additional taxes, regulations, fees, markup, registration, all that normal bureaucratic, stuff that we try and get rid of. So let's tear down those barriers to ensure that Canadian wine can be consumed by Canadians across the country, and then we'll let the negotiators handle the stuff with the United States.
And we've been doing some of that, I understand. For instance, recently we, not all, but some provinces and territories got together to make it legal that you can, sell wine across different provincial boundaries. Yeah. Every time I talk with this, I just have to mention how insane it is that is even a problem. I know. It's so infuriating that it was literally illegal in most cases to drive across a provincial boundary and buy booze and drive it across the border. Yeah. It's crazy to me. But we started to ease some of that, which is on the individual level. That's individual people going and buying a case of wine from, if you're in Saskatchewan and you buy a case of wine in BC, it's okay now. But I mean, there's still the bigger structural issues of trying to sell to like the supply chains and the stores Absolutely. Of one province to the other. Those barriers still exist pretty heavily, don't they?
They do. I mean, ask yourself, how come, we've got, a couple of major wine producing regions here in Canada, British Columbia, Ontario to a certain extent, Nova Scotia and a bit in Quebec, but how come there's no Ontario wine on BC shelves?
That always drives me crazy.
Shelves,
yeah.
Right? That's entirely got to do with government regulation, taxations, and the markups and the way that they make you register products and all that, bureaucratic red tape that stands in the way. The first step was, okay, let's make it legal for Canadian consumers to order a BC wine from a website across the country and have it shipped to them no matter where they live and not have to pay additional markups or taxes or have that winery have to register their product in that other province. And then now we want to focus on, okay, so if we've got, a world-class restaurant in downtown Toronto, they want to be welcoming international tourists. They should be featuring Canadian wine from across the country. So we would love to be able to ship it directly to them without having to pay the additional markups, because what happens is the way it's structured right now, a $25 wine in BC could end up being $45 in Ontario just because of all that extra red tape. So that's the frustrating part, and I know we'll get there, but all the premiers have committed to taking that first step and permitting direct-to-consumer shipments, and the Prime Minister's working on that. All that's really positive, but it is time to make one Canadian market so we can all work together, and that'll lessen our exposure to some of these trade disputes that we're having in the United States right now.
We'll leave it there, but there's a big issue we still have to work on. Bigger, like you said, than U.S. trade threats. BC, at least, a lot of our wine does not get shipped to the U.S., so if we do see one of those 50% tariffs get laid there, that's one industry that's not going to be too worried about it. There's going to be effects, but it's not as bad as something like lumber or automotives or those industries that are much more heavily integrated with the U.S. But Jeff Ginyard, President and CEO of the BC Wine Growers, thank you so much for talking to us and giving us some perspective on this.
My pleasure. And last thing I'll say is, listen, if you're out there this weekend, Summerland still needs your support. So purchase a product from Summerland, post about it. It's #SummerlandStrong. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, we'll take a break. We got the 7 o'clock news next on CFAX.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 7:01 on Wednesday, August the 19th. A little foggy at times right now, but we're getting into another sunny day. It's 12 degrees. Get you a full forecast in a moment. Right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
A deal apparently gelling between the U.S. and Canada. 72-hour reprieve now, avoiding the 50% tariffs that were set to take effect as of midnight last night. The U.S. President Donald Trump says the deadline for those tariffs have been pushed back to Friday now to give officials time to sort out all the fine print. CTV's Michael Couture says we're learning from the American side that their three main trade irritants are being addressed.
Canadian counter tariffs on U.S. autos, market access as well to Canada's dairy sector, and of course, the alcohol ban, the American alcohol ban on U.S. store shelves. They wanted that gone, and they wanted the alcohol back on store shelves the day after a deal is signed.
CTV News chief political correspondent and CFAX host Vashi Capello says on top of that, Donald Trump also mentioned this deal includes the revival of the Keystone XL pipeline.
To be honest, we already knew that at the end of April, he greenlit construction of a pipeline through from the Canadian side to Wyoming. Whether it's something in addition to that has yet to be clarified by anyone on either side of the border, but certainly we do know that the Americans want preferential access to our oil. The question is, what do we give them?
Prime Minister Mark Carney said in a statement last night that while substantial progress has been made on trade, there's still a lot of important work to be done. Hopefully that will benefit Canada. Here in BC, most residents of Summerlin have now been able to return home after being chased up by that fast-moving wildfire that erupted 10 days ago and moved very fast through the community. Emergency Management Minister Kelly Green says about 150 structures have been lost to the Bald Range wildfires in the Okanagan, including about 40 buildings in Summerlin.
This is devastating, life-changing news for those families.
They spoke yesterday in Vancouver. Now, most of southern BC has spent weeks under air quality warnings, some places closer to fires, and there's 127 burning in the province. This hour have been choking under heavy smoke. Dr. Bonnie Henry speaking yesterday saying it's a challenge, but we need to try to avoid breathing the smoke as much as we can.
As periods of smoke get more common and longer during our summers, we do have concerns about long-term effects. It's still unknown how these periodic exposures can affect our health in the future. That's why it's so important that the measures we take now to protect those, particularly those who are at higher risk.
She says wear an N95 mask, but of course, that's not always easy to do, especially on a long-term basis. This wildfire smoke's been linked to everything from breathing problems to brain fog. For today, anyways, the firesmoke.ca website shows that wildfire smoke levels over Greater Victoria will be fairly light, possibly clearing altogether at times. Opening statements continue in that landmark case against Meta, the social media company that owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. State attorney generals, numerous ones, have accused Meta of designing a dangerous product for young users, claiming Meta knew it was bad and lied about it. ABC's Mike Dubusky on the Start Here podcast.
We're talking about the very design of Facebook and Instagram. Features like infinite scrolling. There's also push notifications that light up your phone. Some studies have shown they have a dopamine response in the brain as well. The cumulative effect of this, according to these lawsuits, has been that the consumer is worse off. And what's more, these cases allege that Meta knew these features were harmful and went ahead with them anyway.
And on a lighter note, if Marilyn Monroe were still alive today, she would be celebrating 100 years, and the milestone now getting a special tribute.
A kiss on the hand may be quite continental, but diamonds are
the legendary sex symbol is the latest icon to become a Barbie. Mattel is releasing the highly anticipated signature doll to commemorate what would have been Monroe's 100th birthday. It features her signature platinum bob hairdo and dresses Monroe in the hot pink gown with an oversized bow, opera gloves, and stacks of jewelry she wore for her legendary 1953 performance of Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend in the movie Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Mattel says it celebrates Monroe not just as a fashion icon, but also as a boundary-breaking artist and businesswoman. I'm Daria Albinger.
That's your news to 7:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking you, do you think the federal government is being tough enough in trade negotiations with the U.S.? 80% say no. You can vote at CFAX1070.com. Also on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time is 7:07.
Hey, thanks, Lisa, and good morning. Welcome to Wednesday. A bit of fog out there off the coast. Otherwise, we're looking at a sunny day again, much like the last few. 12 degrees, the temperature at the airport. We'll get you a full forecast in just a moment. But first, let's get to the sports. At the Minto Cup for junior level lacrosse, Day 3 action saw the Victoria Junior Shamrocks defeating and eliminating the St. Catharines Athletics. 14-7 was the score in last night's game. It's the third game for Victoria. They've lost 2, but they've won that 1. And it's a round robin where each of the 4 teams will play each other once. So there'll be 4 games per team. The top 2 moving on to the big final series to decide the winner of the Minto Cup. Victoria, with 1 win and 2 losses, technically still has hope to move on, but they got to have a good result in the next game. For the Senior Shamrocks, they're getting ready for Game 3 of the WLA final against the Coquitlam Adnacs. That goes tonight, Q Center. 6:30 is when they're going to get that one going. The series is tied up at 1 game apiece. In basketball, the Toronto Tempo will be aiming to shake an 11-game WNBA winning streak tonight when they visit the Washington Mystics. The Tempo lost 101-95 last night to the visiting Indiana Fever. Now, that game got a lot of attention, was sold out because, of course, star Caitlin Clark was there playing her first ever game in Canada, and Clark had 24 points and 7 assists for the visitors. In the world of baseball, Toronto Blue Jays will be back in action tonight. They had a win last night at Tropicana Field.
Jays come into the Trop and break out the lumber. They scored 10 runs on 17 hits. They hit 3 homers. They're now 6-2 in this 8-game stretch.
Yeah, it was a 10-5 win over Tampa Bay. Those 2 teams going at it again tonight. And then over to some off-ice hockey news. Toronto Maple Leaf star John Tavares testifying in court yesterday, appealing an $8 million tax bill he's been asked to pay related to his $77 million contract signed with the team 8 years ago. CTV's John Woodward explains this one.
I would like to be at my cottage today.
The deal's $15 million signing bonus attracted the attention of the Canada Revenue Agency, which says he owes about $8 million in taxes on it. Tavares is appealing.
Just, prove what the contract was all about, and overall you just hope everything can work out in my favor.
Tavares already paid American taxes on the signing bonus, but the CRA says because it was paid out over several years and came with strings attached, that signing bonus is actually employment income and should be taxed at a higher rate in Canada.
Sports experts say if the courts side with the tax man, it could put Canadian sports teams at a disadvantage when it comes to future contract signings. CFAX News Time is 7:10. CFAX 1070 Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Heading out on a summer road trip? Well, shop at Thrifty Foods. Swipe your Scene Plus card and save up to 15 cents per liter at Shell. See you in store for details. Okay, on the roads, things are looking pretty clear right now. No major crashes or accidents to report. No major delays other than folks slowing down as they should during the construction zone on the Trans-Canada Highway coming in towards Victoria. So a little slow there, but it's just the usual thing where people are doing the construction zone speed limit. No waits at BC Ferries, and the weather forecast is looking looking very similar to the last few days. We're just continuing on this stable stretch of weather. Mainly sunny, but breezy off the water. Highs of 23. A little humidity in the air, too, making it feel a bit warmer. Overnight lows of 14. Tomorrow, same again. Friday, same again. Clouds, though, for Saturday and Sunday, getting overcast. No rain, just clouds is currently the forecast. And the temperatures right now around the region at Shawnigan Lake, we're looking at 15 degrees. In Esquimalt, it's 13. On the markets, how are markets reacting to news like U.S. President Donald Trump delaying the 50% tariffs on Canada for at least 3 days while negotiators continue to try to hammer out a deal to put an end to all that? S&P TSX starting the day up 273 at 36,641. The Dow in New York up 233 to 53,577. Canadian dollar at 72.4 cents U.S.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Couple of stories to update here, or at least attempt to. I've got a texter at 71010 asking about that big crash on the Trans-Canada Highway near Mackenzie yesterday.
Yes.
This was after 6 last night. Big doozy, multiple vehicles involved. The texter asking, can you guys follow up on this? Were there any serious injuries? Well, we haven't heard an update on that yet from Saanich Police. We will, of course, keep you posted as soon as we do. But no updates on that particular part of the story. We do know multiple vehicles were involved, and we do know it is all cleared up now. So the traffic is moving normally. If you were wondering if it was still causing trouble after last night,
right?
But we'll follow up on that and let you know if anybody was hurt. We don't really know either way at this time. Another story to update. Yesterday, Lisa, we were talking about Cumberland up near Courtney Comox. Where there was a fire at that hotel frequented by cyclists. The Riding Fool.
Yep.
And then there was the cycling shop where the fire apparently began.
Dodge City Cycles.
Now, as of yesterday, when we were speaking about this, there was no cause yet identified. Mm-hmm. But now the investigation has completed, according to the fire department up there, and they say the cause of the fire was a lithium battery.
Oh, dear.
It's another one of those. Those things going up in flames. We hear about this a lot. When they go, they really go, those lithium batteries.
Right.
They're in so many things now, from your laptop to your power tools. E-scooters, yeah, there's another one. No word exactly on what this one was precisely, but I guess just another reminder, and this is actually a quote from the fire folks up in Cumberland, a reminder for everybody to avoid leaving electric batteries charging overnight while unattended. Being present while charging can help you detect any issues early and may help prevent a fire.
Right.
So a lithium battery caused fire. That's the one that damaged those buildings in Cumberland.
Right. And we did have an expert on about a month ago or so about dealing with fires. One of the fire officials dealing with lithium batteries and how to keep them safe. Something I didn't realize with my e-scooter, because I have a Segway 9-bot.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that I should let it cool off after riding it before I actually plug it in.
Oh, don't plug it in hot from use.
Correct.
Because I guess that extra heat is just asking for trouble.
Right. And now when I plug it in, I make sure I am home.
Okay.
If I have it plugged into the wall and charging, I make sure that I'm there. And once it's charged, unplug it. Don't continue to leave it plugged in. So this is all information that we got from them at the time, which was sort of new to me. I didn't realize that there was specifics around it. And I didn't see that in the paperwork when I bought it. So just be aware, you do want to monitor lithium batteries. And we have them with everything now. I mean, just think of rechargeable batteries in general. Think around Christmas time, the amount of lithium that we're using. So just be aware if there's a possible fire source, you have to be home to monitor to make sure nothing goes sideways. Yeah. In this case, it looks like somebody left one plugged in, innocently enough.
Yeah, you'd think based on the fact that that's what they're giving as the advice, that's probably what happened.
Right, and they're saying at the back, and that would have fired off pretty fast. You know, we've seen on social media, on YouTube, the extent how fast lithium fire batteries can basically explode and immediately cause a fire. They burn very rapidly and very hot. So based on that, you've got to be prudent with the use of it.
There you go, the update from Cumberland. What else is going on at 7:16? Here are the headlines with Lisa.
U.S. President says he has delayed the 50% tariffs on some Canadian goods for 3 days. In a social media post, the leader says the pause was due to Canada and the U.S. having a deal pending the finalization of documents. Donald Trump also pointed to the Keystone XL pipeline in his initial social media post following a fictional image of him slamming an illustration of the pipeline into the ground. The official proclamation of the tariff pause from the White House says Canada has expressed a commitment to remove, quote, they're calling discriminations that the U.S. said did not apply to other countries. Most evacuation orders have been lifted near the Summerlin Bald Range fire, allowing more than 3,000 properties to be reoccupied. Residents remaining alert, though. The fire is still burning out of control. About 220 square kilometers has torched so far in that fire alone. But crews recently contained several spot fires along its northwestern flank, so slowly chipping away at this. Officials do say 150 structures have been damaged or destroyed, including about 110 in the village of Falder, which a population of only 215. And the Meadow Valley area is also affected. 40 buildings destroyed in Summerland. Across BC, as of this hour, we have 129 fires burning, 44 considered out of control. We've had 6 new starts in the last 24 hours, 21 fires burning on Vancouver Island at various levels, and that includes 8 that are considered out of control. A Ukrainian man wanted in connection with the 2022 Nord Stream pipeline explosion has been arrested in Croatia. German prosecutors say the suspect, a trained scuba diver, was part of a group that planted explosives on the pipelines in the Baltic Sea. Those explosions damaged the pipelines, which were built to carry Russian gas to Germany, adding to tensions over the war in Ukraine. The suspect was previously arrested in Poland but released when a court refused extradition. Another suspect, a former Ukrainian army officer, was charged last month in Germany. That's your news to 718.
Really cool story to talk about, including some innovation from right here in BC. So at UBC, the university, they've developed foam. Think of like foam packaging you'd find in products. A type of foam made from wood products, which means it biodegrades. The problem with all that, foam that's out there right now.
Those peanuts, the white peanut foam that it can't do anything with.
That it just exists now in nature forever. It doesn't go anywhere. And it's a bit of a problem, as we've been hearing about microplastics and all of these issues with that kind of stuff. But what if it was made out of wood and biodegraded, but did the same thing? At least that's what they developed at UBC. And now there is a First Nations-led operation to actually turn this discovery into a product, actually manufacture this stuff.
Cool.
At least that's what I roughly understand. I'd like to find out more, so we're going to explore this issue in just a moment. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Bluebird Cabs. Need a cab? Download the new Bluebird Cabs app at Bluebird Cabs Ltd. Proudly local, Canadian-owned and run since 1946. Let's take a look at the roads. Things are very clear right now, except for just the usual volume delays. Well, summer levels of usual volume delays from the West Shore into Victoria. It is kind of slow going through the construction zone on the Trans-Canada Highway right now, heading in towards Victoria. But otherwise, things are looking pretty good. We got no waits at BC Ferries. The weather, while a little foggy at times out there off the water this morning, is going to eventually turn into a mainly sunny day. Highs of 23. A little bit humid, feeling warmer today, but a little cooler by the windy one to Fuki Strait. Right now, it's 13 degrees.
Ryan and Lisa. Mornings on CFAX 1070. Remember, you have us in the palm of your hand. For listeners on the go, listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Yeah, right here in BC, developing a type of foam that will biodegrade because it's made out of wood. Here to talk about it, I got Associate Professor in the Department of Wood Science at UBC, Feng Zheng, is joining us on the line. Sir, let's get you up on the line. How are you doing today, sir?
Good. How are you, Ryan? Thank you for having me.
Great to talk to you. I think this is really fascinating. I don't really understand it, which is why we got you here to talk more about this. So I want to make sure, first off, that I'm correct about the type of foam we're talking about. Are we talking about the type of foam that you might find in packaging, like that kind of foam? Is that what you're working on making out of wood?
Yes, exactly. It's actually for the foam you find in the packaging for protection, for cushioning, so yeah, that's a foam, yeah.
That kind of foam, which, is hard to dispose of because, what do you do with it? And when you do get it into the landfill or something, it doesn't break down. It just stays in the environment forever, which is increasingly something we're realizing is not good.
Yeah, definitely. So currently the foam for packaging, it's huge, industry. So there's a huge application, right? A huge demand for those plastic foam. So yeah, as you mentioned, so it never degrades. So the foam will disappear over time. It's not because it's degraded, but it's because it becomes so small we cannot see. It's become what we call microplastic. It can enter into the food, the system, and also causing a lot of problem for human body and for the wildlife.
Yeah, no good. We don't want that. But what if you could make one out of wood that would biodegrade? I guess that's what you've discovered, haven't you? Tell us how your product works.
So my products, we are using the residual fiber from forest operations. So basically, if you look at the forest operation, about 50% of the tree, once it's harvested, it's being used for lumber or pulp. And then the other 50 was just left in the landfill, so without any, or in the forest floor, so without any use. So we are taking those residual fiber and using some, mechanical treatment to break down the fiber into a smaller fiber, and then adding some foaming agent to just like foam it up, and then we just dry it, just like a baking bread. So you just put in the oven, and after you remove the water, it becomes a lightweight foam.
Really? So it's that easy? I guess there's probably a big, complicated scientific process, but it sounds like, yeah, you mix all this stuff up, you stick it in the oven, and there you go. You got foam, or at least an equivalent to it. How did you discover that, though? Because it seems like turning wood into that, it seems like as much as it sounds like it's the way you describe it sounds easy, but the discovery must have been quite hard to figure that out. How did you figure out that wood could even do this?
It's about 6 years research in the lab. So I have a very brilliant postdoc, who is now with the CTO of the company. So he had been, doing a literature review and searching for different formulation and trying to see how the fiber affecting the strength. At the original, our discovery, the strength is not very strong. You can imagine, because we don't want to use any glue, which is also mostly is petroleum based and also is non-degradable. So we want the fiber to bond them by themselves, right? So there's a lot of, trial and error. So until we finally we got a formulation that we are happy with, and, with the hydrophobicity, with low density, and also with the thermoregulation properties. It's a process that, in the lab. So that's what we do every day. So we just do, try to modify the fiber and try to do the formulation.
So UBC, you've figured this out. You've got this prototype of this wood-based foam. Now, something exciting is also happening. There is an effort to turn this into a commercial product, I should say, and there's an Indigenous-led pilot plant that is opening up in Vancouver. Talk about that part of the story and how we're actually maybe going to start seeing this stuff be commercialized.
Yeah, because as you see, so we try to make the process very simple, and the simpleness meaning is cost effective. So if we complicate the process, so there will be, every process there will be added cost. So therefore, so we want to make it simple to reduce the cost, and then also we want the material to not only stay in the labs, they stay in as a publication. So that's what you really do in academia, but we want them to go into the market too, because we see the value, because we see, it can solve multiple problems. For example, the plastic pollution issue and the wood fiber utilization. So we collaborate with the First Nation, Wet'suwet'en First Nation at the very beginning of the project at the R&D level. And then 3 years ago, so once we got the formulation, so we were thinking how we can scale this up. Because in the lab, the maximum size we are making probably 10 inch by 10 inch. So we were thinking, how can we do meters by meters, the large scale manufacturing. So then we start to work with the company for designing the machinery and designing the modify the formulation for large scale application. So so right now it's just opened recently in Vancouver. So we have the pilot machinery delivered to here. So we have already passed all the inspection, and it's up running for production about 150 to 200 kilogram per day of the foam.
Wow, this is so cool. Neat to hear about some BC innovation that is moving forward. Feng Jiang is an associate professor in the Department of Wood Science at UBC, talking about their biodegradable packing foam that they've come up with made out of wood. Much appreciated. Thank you for telling us the story, and good luck with this.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. I think that's neat. And fun little tidbit that we've also learned about this. We were just talking about how they've got this plant, this pilot plant going in Vancouver in partnership with the Wet'suwet'en First Nation. Well, a couple of the people working at the plant apparently are members of the Huayet First Nation here on Vancouver Island. They're learning how this all goes while they do it, and they would like to see a future operation like this brought to Vancouver Island, which I think is kind of a neat story. So we'll watch and see how that plays out. Right now, we got to take a break, though. It's 7:30. We'll get to our news with Lisa next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
40 years of Fringe magic. Experience Victoria Fringe Festival, August 26th through September 6th. Feel the roar at Pacific FC. Get your soccer tickets today at cplsoccer.com. West Shore Swap Shop and Market is at Rally at Royal Bay every Sunday. Support Goldstream Food Bank with a $2 admission or a food donation.
Get more event info at cfax1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Hey, good morning. It's 7:31 on Wednesday, August the 19th. A day that looks much like the last few today with some sunshine coming. 13 degrees right now. We'll get you the full forecast in just a moment. Right now, the news begins. Here's Lisa Best.
We've got an update from Up Island about that fire in Cumberland. Fire investigators say it was a lithium battery that was the cause of that blaze. It damaged a cycling shop and a shop in the hostel up above in a historic building last weekend. The fire started in Dodge City Cycles on Dunsmuir Avenue around 9:30 Sunday night. Some 24 firefighters were called in to knock down the blaze. One Cumberland firefighter suffered minor injuries. They're now recovering at home. But fire crews now reminding everyone, do not leave electric batteries unattended while they're charging. Being present while charging can help you detect any issue early and may help prevent a fire. These fires burn hot and fast from lithium batteries. Also, let your battery cool off after use before plugging it in to recharge. Speaking of fires, BC's top public health officer is warning residents about the effect of wildfire smoke. Dr. Bonnie Henry says wildfires have become an unfortunate part of the summer experience in BC, noting that climate anxiety is one of the leading reasons that young people reach out for mental health help.
For some people, young people I've talked to, it's almost like dreading summer, which is really sad. And it's something that we as a society need to think about in terms of these are man-made climate change effects.
Our comments come as about 3,000 Summerlin residents who were evacuated due to the nearby Bald Range wildfire that sparked earlier this month are now being permitted to return home. Some not returning to homes. About 40 buildings in that community have been destroyed across the Okanagan region because of this fire. Some 150 buildings are no longer standing. The U.S. president says the U.S. and Canada have struck a deal, sort of, kind of.
Less than 2 hours before he was set to impose 50% tariffs on $20 billion worth of Canadian imports, President Trump announced on social media that the U.S. and Canada have a deal, subject, he writes, to the finalization of documents. Trump's import taxes would have hit about 5% of what Canada ships to the U.S., including products ranging from hockey sticks to tongue depressors, and Canada had threatened to respond in kind. But those sanctions are now delayed, buying time for more negotiations and avoiding, for now, yet another strain in already tense relations between historic allies. Ben Thomas, Washington.
A new Royal LePage survey suggests most Canadian homeowners have been managing higher mortgage payments as the final wave of ultra-low rates renewals approaches. 38% of more than 1,100 respondents expect their payments to rise upon renewal, down 57% from early 2025. Among those expecting higher costs, 76% say the increase will strain household finances. More than half plan to cut discretionary spending as a result. Royal LePage says mortgage delinquencies remain low and widespread default crisis some feared has not materialized. Opening statements continue in the landmark case against Meta, the social media company that owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Several state attorney generals, many actually, have accused Meta of designing a dangerous product for young users, claiming Meta knew it was bad and lied about it. ABC's Mike Dubusky on the Start Here podcast.
They're basically arguing that those features were designed to get young people engaged on the platform for long periods of time, and that resulted in all these negative health outcomes, everything from body dysmorphia to anxiety to, in some cases, suicidal ideation.
More news on coffee. Another new study shows coffee drinkers are being associated with healthier body composition.
Serving coffee with a crawler, Dunkin' doesn't take a lot of skill.
Researchers at the University of Oulu in Finland say those who drank more coffee for the most part had lower levels of body fat and greater skeletal muscle mass. The study looked at more than 2,200 people who were 46 years old with similar body mass index. Researchers say the results could push further studies to determine whether coffee itself caused any of the biological differences. I'm Michael Kastner.
That's your news to 7:36. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question. We're asking, do you think the federal government is being firm enough in trade negotiations with the U.S.? About 80% saying no. You can vote at CFAX1070.com. Also on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best, your news time, 7:37.
We'll continue to cover the fallout from the tariff threats yesterday, delayed by 3 days, according to U.S. President Donald Trump. Negotiations continue. We've got Liberal Member of Parliament representing the government, Will Greaves, joining us in just a few minutes here. And then Jeff Kibble, Conservative MP from the opposition side, joining us just after that to weigh in on where we're at with the Canada-U.S. negotiations. The story's not over yet, folks. Yeah, much more to come, but let's go to the CFAX 1070 Sports. At the Minto Cup, Day 3 action saw the Victoria Junior A Shamrocks defeating and eliminating the St. Catharines Athletics 14-7. So the Athletics had lost all of their games in this 4-game round robin. So even though we're only 3 games in, there's no way for them to come back from that. But for the Victoria Junior A Shamrocks, what about them? Well, they've got this 1 win now. They got 2 losses. I guess they still technically have hope to move on. So we'll see what happens in the next game. For the Senior Shamrocks, Game 3 of the WLA Final Series against the Coquitlam Adanacs goes tonight, and the series is tied up at 1 game apiece. For the World of Golf, Canada's Brooke Henderson begins her quest for a third CPKC Women's Open Golf title with round 1 tomorrow at Edmonton's Royal Mayfair Club. The 28-year-old from Ontario captured last year's event, which was held in Mississauga, and earned her first win in 2018 in Regina. The field features 6 of the world's top 10 golfers, including top-ranked American Nelly Korda. Toronto Blue Jays, they'll be continuing their dive to an American League playoff spot. The Blue Jays continue the series against the American League leading Tampa Bay Rays after winning last night's opener. 10-5 was the score, and so that keeps the Blue Jays within a half game of a playoff position. No rest for the Toronto Tempo women's basketball team. The WNBA squad visits the Washington Mystics after dropping a 101-95 decision to the Indiana Fever last night. Last night's game got a lot of focus because it was Fever star Caitlin Clark's first ever game in Canada. She got 24 points and 7 assists in the effort. And that is your CFAX 1070 Sports to 7:39. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. It's 7:40. Not much happening on the roads that isn't just the usual volume delays heading into Victoria from the West Shore. For the BC ferries, no sailing waits. And for the weather forecast, a little fog out there in places, but otherwise we're heading towards a mainly sunny day. Bit of cloud here and there. We'll see some wind off the Juan de Fuca Strait, making it feel cooler if you're by the water. Otherwise, it's a high of 23 and a humidex of 27. Feeling a little warmer in that humidity, just like we have for the last few days, and just like we will continue to feel for the next few days, because the weather stays very stable for Thursday, tomorrow, and for Friday. Some clouds rolling in on Saturday and Sunday. It looks mostly overcast for the weekend. However, it's dry so far. So far, the forecast continues to hold out for just clouds, no rain. And for the temperatures right now, in Victoria downtown, it's 14 degrees. In Shawnigan Lake, it is 16 degrees. On the markets, some big gains. S&P TSX still up 270 points to 36,638. The Dow in New York is up 258 to 53,601. The NASDAQ is down 74, though, to 26,214. Canadian dollar at 72.4 cents U.S., so the dollar making some gains. And one of the big things, of course, in the world of business is Donald Trump, the U.S. president, pausing his threatened new tariffs on Canada, but only for 3 days as negotiations continue. We'll be talking much more about that on the show.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Yeah, from the federal government side of things, Liberal MP Will Greaves from Victoria will be joining us in just a few moments to continue to react to the latest tariff and trade negotiation news. Right now, before that, I have something very important to tell you.
Yes, you do.
It's going to be Guns N' Roses ticket giveaway time soon.
Okay.
We got you to sing for us.
Be silly
It's
and
been great.
win tickets.
So sing us a bit of a Guns N' Roses song.
Mm-hmm.
Do your best Axl Rose.
Right? Channel Axl Rose.
Yeah. Right after the 8 o'clock news is when we're going to do this. You'll give us a call at 250-386-1161 if you want to participate and try to win the tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're the lucky caller we pick, we will ask you to sing. And if you do, you'll get the tickets. It's not this weekend, but next weekend. So this show is coming up really soon at BC Place Stadium. So Vancouver is where the show is. It's next Saturday. If you're free, why not try?
Yeah.
Why not sing for us? That's it. Yeah.
If you don't want to, you don't have to.
You don't have to.
But I looked up online and tickets are cheap. Concert tickets just aren't cheep anymore.
No, they're really not.
That's why we give them away so you can have them for free.
Yeah, exactly. Coming up, BC Place Stadium. It's sort of, a continuing CFAX Summer of Rock.
Right.
It's been great. The other thing I will mention, of course, is the Mega Summer 50-50 for CFAX Santa's Anonymous and the Kids Count program, helping kids beyond Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
The jackpot is, if I'm looking at this correctly,
Yes, you are.
only $25 away from a $25,000 jackpot.
Isn't that something?
I can't believe it's a 25 grand, basically.
Well, near the end of it, too, with 50-50s, you always notice at the end of the game, you're, okay, I got to get it on the 50-50. We're getting into that timeline now because we only have a few days left to go.
Yeah, it's not this Friday, but next Friday when we do the draw for one lucky winner who will get half of that jackpot, the rest of it going to CFAX Santa's Anonymous and helping kids around Greater Victoria beyond Christmas. $24,975 is the current jackpot. But you can go to CFAX1070.com, click on the big button that says Kids Count Mega Summer 50-50, and you can buy your ticket. A single for $10, a 5-pack for $25, 20-pack for $50. Got to be a BC resident and got to be 19 plus.
Or you could spend $25 and push it over the edge.
Yeah, go for it.
Into that $25 gets you $12,500. That's
Not bad.
okay. Yeah.
That's pretty good. I like that math. All right, Lisa, what's going on in the news?
BC wildfire update this hour, 129 fires burning, 44 considered under control. 6 new fires have started in the last 24 hours. That includes 21 fires on Vancouver Island. They all didn't start in this last 6 hours, but there are that total. And there are 8 considered out of control. They're all up island in wilderness areas, very hard areas for crews to get to and fight, but they're doing their best. Most evacuation orders have been lifted on the mainland near Summerlin's Bald Range wildfire, allowing residents to return to 3,000 properties, but we know that some won't be going to homes standing. Officials say 150 structures have been damaged or destroyed, including about 110 in the Falder village, where it's a population of only about 215 there. And Meadow Valley areas, 40 homes and businesses in Summerland have been destroyed. The fire is still burning out of control. It has scorched 220 square kilometers at this point, but crews recently contained several spot fires along its northwestern flank. The BC Wildfire Service says dry fuels and possible stronger winds later this week could create a jump in fire activity, while smoke and smoldering ground fires may continue on for weeks now. OpenAI is launching a version of ChatGPT designed for teens. As the first generation to grow up with artificial intelligence, teens are using it for schoolwork, questions about daily life, and even companionship. The San Francisco-based company says ChatGPT for teens is tailored for kids 13 to 17 with stronger protections, including content restriction around things like self-harm, romance, and sexual chats. It also provides homework and study support designed to help students learn rather than just spit out answers and school essays for them. The idea is to guide teens towards healthy AI use in an age-appropriate environment. And in health news, an experimental vaccine treatment is showing signs of preventing cancer from returning or spreading in a study of high-risk melanoma patients. That according to the pharmaceutical giants Moderna and Merck. Interim results show that the trial shows that vaccines used in combination with Merck's cancer immunotherapy appears to extend the time before cancer returned in those patients. The companies have not yet published the results or released the new data, saying it will be presented at an upcoming medical meeting and shared with regulators first. That is your news to 747.
Hey, Texter's got a good question. The Guns N' Roses tickets were given away.
Yes.
Asking, do they come with accommodations as well? Well, I'm afraid to say not this time. When we did the big CFAX Summer of Rock back a few months ago, we had the whole package. But we only had one package to give away, so we were qualifying people all through the week. But only one person got the tickets and all the other things like the accommodations. This time, we don't have all that other stuff, but we do have tickets to give away every day, which is, I think, awesome. Like today, just after the 8 o'clock news, we will be giving away another pair of tickets if you sing some Guns N' Roses for us. We're going to talk to Victoria Member of Parliament Will Greaves from the governing Liberals. What are they hearing within the caucus about the current state of negotiations between the U.S. and Canada? We've got a 3-day reprieve on the giant 50% tariffs. U.S. President Donald Trump saying on his social media he thinks we're close to a deal, dropping things like the Keystone XL pipeline as part of the deal. So we're going to find out more from Will Greaves, Victoria MP. What's he hearing about this? That's next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
40 years of Fringe magic. Experience Victoria Fringe Festival, August 26th through September 6th. Feel the roar at Pacific FC. Get your soccer tickets today at cplsoccer.com. West Shore Swap Shop and Market is at Rally at Royal Bay every Sunday. Support Goldstream Food Bank with a $2 admission or a food donation.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
See a crash or other problem on your commute, you can text us at 71010 and let us know. But right now, we're problem-free for the BC ferries. We're also problem-free. We still have that full closure of the Gorge Waterway just to the west of the Selkirk Trestle, though, as BC Hydro does that big conduit for the underwater cable. So we do have marine traffic delays, but not for the roads. For the weather forecast today, we are looking at a mix of sun and cloud after some fog dissipates this morning. Highs at 23, a little cooler by the windy Wandafika Strait, but a humidex at 27. Feeling a bit warmer in that humidity with clear skies tonight, lows to 14. Right now, it's 13.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
It is one of the top national stories of the day. It seems talks between the U.S. and Canada have ultimately resulted in a 3-day pause on the threatened 50% tariffs on many Canadian goods that the U.S. President Donald Trump had been threatening, and I guess technically still is, although he put out there on his social media yesterday he's given a 3-day pause, a 3-day reprieve while those negotiations continue. Maybe close to a deal. The U.S. president seemed to indicate that in his post. What else do we know about it? Well, I got Liberal MP for Victoria. He's on the governing side here. Will Greaves joining us on the line. Sir, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Great to talk to you. So, hey, you're there in the government. What do you know? What can you tell us? How's the government feeling about this potential deal that we're hearing about from the U.S. president?
I think the government is feeling similar to how it's been feeling for some time now, which is resolved to try to get the best deal possible for Canadians, but unwilling to jump at any deal just because it's what's being offered by the United States. So I know that the president tweeted last night. You may have seen the prime minister put out a slightly more measured statement. So, we'll see what comes in the next 3 days. But I think it's a positive sign that we might be this close to some kind of an agreement.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting because the U.S. president was dropping some specifics. He said, hey, the Keystone XL pipeline maybe is emerging out of this with lots of exclamation marks and Trump enthusiasm. No specific mentions like that from Mark Carney, the prime minister. He was just very, like he said, a little more careful in what he said, didn't really specify too much. So those are the two reactions we saw last night. So you as a member of parliament, it's not like you're there in Washington at the table, but how included are you or the other MPs in this? Like how much communication do you have about what's going on?
I mean, as a backbench MP, I don't have any direct role in the negotiations, and I don't have a role in managing a department or the government and its operations in that sense. So I'm a legislator, and my role is a legislative one. But certainly, the caucus is kept informed by the Prime Minister's office and by other officials about what's happening, and we do get given some information when we're on the cusp of potential changes or breakthroughs in negotiations or other big decisions the government is making. So. I know that the negotiations are going ahead. I know that there's been progress. I know that there's a lot of optimism that we might be able to get, a good deal, a satisfactory deal for Canada, one that's going to be in the interest of the country, one that's going to allow us to hopefully balance our relationship with the United States to a more healthy and less conflictual place. But we'll see in the next couple of days.
I was a little... I don't know. I'm trying to think of how to put this. When I heard the news, my big thought, and I read an article that kind of put it this way, and I thought it was a great way to put it. It's still this big pot of uncertainty, and it's things are still left on a cliffhanger. We don't have a deal yet. The tariffs are still being threatened. They're just 3 days pushed off. It's great reality TV is the way I saw it put. This is, great television. It's horrible governance. It's horrible business. If you're in the business community, you still don't have any certainty about anything here. So how are you feeling about this latest move? Just kind of pushing this off. Negotiations are continuing, but there's still kind of this unsettled sense of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Uncertainty is the key word in all of this. The way in which the U.S. administration has chosen to conduct trade policy with other countries has almost been designed to maximize the uncertainty surrounding those economic relationships. And so none of what we've seen from the United States and from President Trump around tariffs and the trade war that he's launched on Canada and numerous other countries, none of that is about economics. None of that is about making the United States more prosperous. It's certainly not about making those other countries more prosperous. It's a reflection of the fact that the president sees tariffs as a political tool that he is entitled to use, that he feels personally quite attached to, and that he is utilizing to try to achieve political ends with other countries, notably getting them to subordinate to the United States agenda and to revisit the terms of agreements that have previously been struck between the United States and them. So you're not going to find a business rationale for anything that you're seeing. It's not good for business in the United States. It's certainly not good for business here. It's not an economic set of decisions we're seeing. It really is about a certain type of politics.
Polls that we're seeing and just general sentiment that we're hearing about from Canada is that a lot of Canadians are a little fed up and do not want to see too much in the way of concessions when it comes to whatever deal gets figured out here. Hopefully one does get figured out. But Canadians don't want a deal at any cost. Seems to be one of the popular sentiments we're hearing. Is that something that's playing into the government's... Does that help empower the government here in these negotiations to not just take any deal? Or how do you feel about that end of it? Like, how much should we give up here to just have trade peace?
Mm-hmm. I I think Canadians and the government are very closely aligned on viewing no deal as better than a bad deal with the United States. So the reason that we have come as long a time as we have with these negotiations with the United States, the reason that it has dragged on, there's a couple reasons. Our negotiating partner is certainly one of them, but it's also because we as a country have now repeatedly refused to accept a bad deal that the United States had placed on the table. So I think Canadians are right in not wanting to accept just any concessions, to the United States. The government shares that perspective. It's been the guiding principle in these negotiations. Any negotiation does entail compromise. So what I think is important for people to bear in mind is that a potential deal will almost certainly involve concessions by both sides. That's the nature of a negotiation. Just because concessions were offered doesn't mean that it's a bad deal. Just because Canada agrees to make changes to its trade policy to the United States doesn't mean that we're somehow caving to the U.S. as long as what we're getting in exchange is appropriate, for our interests and makes, on balance, the agreement that's been struck a good one for Canada.
Okay, last real quick question, because the U.S. president, in his social media post that delayed or announced the delay of the tariffs by at least 3 days while negotiations continue, he zeroed in on the Keystone XL pipeline maybe being kind of one of the things emerging from all of this. Can you unpack that from the Canadian side? What's going on there?
Yeah, I'm responding here only in my own capacity.
Yes.
I'm not speaking on behalf of the government of Canada, but it feels to me like a complete red herring. The Keystone XL pipeline has no bearing on the free trade relationship with Canada. The Keystone XL pipeline is a pipeline that the last three Canadian prime ministers have all supported, have all wanted to get built, going right back to Stephen Harper, and it's two U.S. presidents who have vetoed the construction of that pipeline at different points in time. So Donald Trump may be interested in having the Keystone XL pipeline as part of these negotiations. It's possible that it will be part of some final agreement, but it's not really an issue that is relevant to the free trade discussions, and so it's being used perhaps as a piece of leverage or as an incentive or something in these negotiations, but it's not like we need to negotiate hard over the Keystone XL pipeline going ahead. It was an American decision for that project not to be built in the first place.
Yeah, good perspective. Liberal MP for Victoria, Will Greaves, joining us on the line, reacting to the latest trade trouble between Canada and the U.S. Much appreciated. Thank you for weighing in. We'll let you go. Hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Sounds great. Always good to talk to you.
All right, there you go. And we will continue having these conversations because that's the government side. We got the opposition Conservatives joining us in a little bit, just into our 8 o'clock hour. But right now we'll take a break for the 8 o'clock news.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 8:01 on this Wednesday, August the 19th. Mostly sunny after some morning cloud and fog burn off. We'll get you a full forecast in just a moment. Right now, the news begins. Here is Lisa Best.
Thank you, Ryan, and good morning. That 11th hour reprieve sticking till Friday after word that Canada and the U.S. have reached a tentative trade deal. The news first shared by the U.S. president last night on social media. The midnight deadline for his 50% tariff threat now pushed back to Friday so we can hammer out the agreement. No word on exactly what that's going to be on the Canadian side, but CTV's Michael Couture has some of the latest we're hearing from the U.S.
We also are seeing a statement for United States Trade Representative Jamieson Greer. The deal will include comprehensive market access for all American goods, economic security commitments, digital trade alignment, and many important provisions that will continue to protect our market and American workers along with our Canadian partners.
Details on this side of the border remain unclear. Here's CTV News chief political correspondent and CFAX host Vashi Kapelos.
We will roll back counter tariffs on autos, for example, that will make adjustments to dairy quotas in that alcohol will get back on the shelves are things that have at least tentatively been agreed to. At least 3 or 4 premier staffers who I'm in touch with say that there's no information at this hour yet communicated from the federal government to those premiers.
The revival of the Keystone XL pipeline has also been brought up as part of this deal, but again, details around that also remain murky. BC wildfire update this hour. There are 127 fires burning. 44 are considered out of control. There are 21 fires burning now on Vancouver Island, 8 of those considered out of control. There's been 6 new fires start in BC in the last 24 hours. 87% of the fires so far this season have been caused by lightning strikes. Forest Minister Ravi Parmar speaking yesterday, saying the vast amount of wildfire misinformation circulating online is disheartening.
It is so incredibly important for all British Columbians to get information from important news sources while also downloading the BC Wildfire app.
Officials in the Okanagan region sharing news that the Bald Range wildfire, which still burns out of control, destroyed or damaged about 150 structures, including 40 in Summerland and quite a few more in Falder. That village almost completely destroyed. Much of southern BC has spent weeks under air quality warnings, too. Some communities choking through heavy smoke. Wildfire smoke exposure has been linked to various health issues, from breathing problems to brain fog. For today, the firesmoke.ca website is showing that the smoke will be light across Greater Victoria, and tomorrow virtually non-existent for most of Thursday. So if you're looking for a day to get out and enjoy, and if it's been bugging you, tomorrow will be your day. The Alberta government will host its first town hall tonight, focused on AI data centers.
The town hall is in the central Alberta town of Lacombe and will be hosted by Technology Minister Nate Glubish. Data center development has faced fierce pushback in the province. That's over concerns around water use, pollution, and the potential impact on electricity bills. All concerns Premier Danielle Smith has sought to quell. Opponents say the government's consultations are disingenuous. 2 more in-person events are scheduled near planned data center sites, one on Thursday in Sturgeon County, north of Edmonton, and another next month in Grand Prairie. Smith herself is set to join Glubish for a virtual town hall next week. Aaron Sousa, The Canadian Press.
Amazon plans to offer drone deliveries to millions of people this year.
Millions more people may be able to get smaller, lightweight Amazon packages delivered by drones by the end of the year. The company plans to expand their airborne shipping to suburban areas in nearly 500 U.S. cities, intensifying the battle between Amazon and Walmart to provide customers with the fastest delivery times. Amazon says that customers could receive drone deliveries of packages up to 5 pounds in as fast as 30 minutes. The federal government has proposed a rule that would allow more drone operators to fly beyond the horizon, but that has not yet been finalized. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
And that's your news to 8:06. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question: do you think the federal government is being firm enough in trade negotiations with the U.S.? 79% on the website saying no. And on Twitter X, at CFAX, it's 70% saying no. You can vote CFAX1070.com, Twitter X, or also the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa, best your news time is 8:07.
Hey, thanks very much, Lisa, and welcome to the show. Welcome to Wednesday, where things are going to be weather-wise a lot like the last few days, heading towards mainly sunny skies right now at the Victoria International Airport. The temperature's 14. I'll tell you about the sports. Let's start with the Blue Jays. They're back to their winning ways after they kicked off a 6-game road trip last night at Tropicana Field with a win over the Tampa Bay Rays. It's been a place historically that the Blue Jays have struggled, but a good result last night.
The Blue Jays come into the Trop and break out the lumber. They scored 10 runs on 17 hits. They hit 3 homers. They're now 6-2 in this 8-game stretch.
Yeah, it was a 10-5 win over Tampa Bay. Those two teams go at it again, and the Jays remain just a half game back at the final AL wildcard spot. Some off-ice hockey. Toronto Maple Leaf star John Tavares was testifying in court yesterday, appealing an $8 million tax bill he's been asked to pay related to his $77 million contract signed with the team 8 years ago. What's going on here? Well, CTV's John Woodward unpacks this for us.
I would like to be at my cottage today.
The deal's $15 million signing bonus attracted the attention of the Canada Revenue Agency, which says he owes about $8 million in taxes on it. Tavares is appealing.
Just, prove what the contract was all about, and overall you just hope everything can work out in my favor.
Tavares already paid American taxes on the signing bonus, but the CRA says because it was paid out over several years and came with strings attached, that signing bonus is actually employment income and should be taxed at a higher rate in Canada.
Now, this isn't just interesting for Tavares. There's some bigger implications here. Sports experts saying that if the courts side with the CRA, with the tax man here, it could put Canadian sports teams at a disadvantage when it comes to future contract signings. So a lot of interest in the outcome. And for lacrosse, at the 2026 Minto Cup Day 3 action saw the Victoria Junior A Shamrocks defeat the St. Catharines Athletics 14-7. So that's the first win in the round robin for the Victoria Junior A Shamrocks. They got 1 win and 2 losses now in the round robin, where all 4 teams will play each other and the top 2 move on. Victoria does still have a hope to move on, depending on the next result. And in the senior Shamrock level, Game 3 of the WLA Final Series against the Coquitlam Adnacks going tonight at the Q Center. That's your sports to 8:09. We're almost there. We got Guns N' Roses tickets to give away yet again here on the show for the BC Play Stadium show, not this weekend, but next weekend on Saturday. So 2 Saturdays from now. If you want to give it a shot, you can call us at 250-386-1161. If we take your call, we'll make you sing, channel your best Axl Rose, and if you do, you'll get the ticket. Stand by. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Heading out on a summer road trip, we'll shop at Thrifty Foods. Swipe your Scene Plus card, save up to 15 cents per liter at Shell. See in-store for details. On the roads, no major incidents, no crashes or accidents to report right now. You can let us know if you see anything. There was that major incident on the Trans-Canada last night. Multi-vehicles around about Mackenzie. It's all cleared. No further issues this morning. It was all a yesterday thing. For the weather forecast, it is going to be a mainly sunny day. We've got a bit of fog, bit of cloud this morning, but it's going to be sunny. highs of 23. A little cooler by the windy one to Fuca Strait, but feeling a little warmer with some humidity in the air. A humidex of 27 for Victoria. Clear skies tonight, lows to 14, and then tomorrow, exact same forecast again, and same for Friday. A few clouds rolling in on the weekend. No rain, though, at the moment in the forecast. Just overcast skies for Saturday and Sunday. And right now at the Victoria International Airport, the official temperature for Victoria is 14 degrees. To the markets, S&P TSX up 239 to 36,607. The Dow is up 278 to 53,621. The Canadian dollar at 72.4 cents US. Do it. Let's play some Guns N' Roses karaoke.
Okay.
I'm going to the phone lines right now. Okay. I'm just picking a random one.
Sure.
We got all these phone lines lit up. And I got to pick this one. Who's this on the line right now? Who are you?
Mark.
Mark. Mark, you got through.
Oh, wow.
Yay.
You know what that means?
Yay.
That means you have to sing for us.
Okay, I'm not much of a singer.
Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
So
well, that's honest.
All we need, though, the nice thing is, you just got to sing something Guns N' Roses, something a little Axl Rose. It just can be
Make
little.
it count.
But
Make
just
it count,
have
Mark.
fun with it.
Okay.
Okay. Be brave.
Whenever
you're ready, Mark, go for it.
Okay, welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. We got everything you want, honey. You know the names. We are the people that can find whatever you need. If you got the money, honey, we got the disease. In the jungle, welcome to the jungle. Na 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 na.
Do the hard part.
Very good. Mark, you know what's the best? The way you just sung it there, I don't think I ever knew any of the words he was actually saying, but you actually enunciated all the words. So it's like, are those the lyrics?
That's what I was thinking, too.
I don't think I ever knew that half those words were the lyrics.
I had no idea.
I got the welcome to the jungle part down. I was okay with that, but all the other stuff, I was like, oh, that's what he's saying?
Mark, did you actually look up the lyrics?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Good for you.
So that's
a little research.
That's why. Mark, that's amazing. Thank you so much for educating me as to the lyrics to Welcome to the Jungle, first off, but also for calling in, for listening, and walking away with 2 tickets to see Guns N' Roses coming to BC Place Stadium. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday. It's coming up real quick. Who are you going to take?
Oh, my partner.
Excellent.
She loves roses. Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, well, that's going to be a surprise for when you tell her.
Yeah, she's sleeping right now.
Okay.
Good.
Wake up, honey. We got Guns N' Roses tickets.
Rockin' weekend.
Well, Mark, hold on the line. I got to talk to you off the air and get some information from you. But there's still 2 more pairs of tickets to give away, which we'll be doing both Thursday and Friday. So stay tuned for your chance to win.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, there you go. So excited for Mark there. Also, we are going to continue covering the latest Trump tariff news. Delayed by 3 days, the big 50% tariffs. We just talked to the governing Liberals and local MP, Will Greaves, just a few moments. Conservative opposition side of things, Jeff Kibble, local MP, also joining us next for his take. So stand by for that. We'll get to that right after the headlines with Lisa.
Thank you. BC wildfire status. We have 129 wildfires burning the province this hour. 44 of those considered out of control. 21 fires now on Vancouver Island, including 8 considered out of control. All are up island and wilderness areas, tough areas for crews to reach. So hopefully they'll be able to get a handle on those 8 soon enough. Most evacuation orders lifted on the mainland near Summerland due to the Bald Range wildfire moving away from the community. About 3,000 properties are being lifted for the evacuation orders. Residents can return to find out what's been damaged and what's still standing. The fire is still burning out of control. 220 square kilometers torched now, but crews recently making damage to its northwestern flank, making a dent there. So hopefully getting it under control soon enough. Officials say 150 structures have been damaged or destroyed, 40 in Summerland, but a large amount in the village of Falder, which has a population of just over 200. Firesmoke.ca shows wildfire smoke levels will be light across Greater Victoria today, and virtually clear of smoke for most of tomorrow. So if it's bothering you, that'll be a reprieve for you. A reprieve on the tariff threat. The president and CEO of the Canadian Federation of Independent Business believes that dodging that 50% tariff threat for at least 3 days and approving the Keystone XL pipeline are steps in the right direction for better U.S. trade relations. However, Dan Kelly says that sectoral tariffs will still need to be dealt with. 50% tariffs and levies would be targeted at $28 billion worth of Canadian goods starting on Friday if the delay doesn't take effect and they don't hammer out an agreement. Prime Minister Mark Carney says, quote, substantial progress has been made, but work does remain. The trial against Meta continues today. Opening statements yesterday in which the tech giant was accused of luring teens and kids onto its social media platforms. Meta is being sued by several state attorneys generals in the U.S. who say the platform has a negative effect on mental health for younger generations. Lawyers claim the company harvested data and hid the truth from the public. A former Facebook employee was called to the stand, testifying that teens are being exposed to violent and graphic content that was allegedly 100 to 400% times higher than what Meta was actually reporting to be public. That is your news to 8:18.
Thank you, Lisa. We've got local MP Jeff Kibble with the Conservatives joining us for an opposition take on the latest trade negotiations between Canada and the U.S. and a 3-day reprieve on the big Trump tariffs. All that's next. It's 8:20, checking CFAX traffic and weather. Roads are looking pretty clear other than the usual summertime volume delays into the Victoria from the West Shore. And by summertime volume delays, I mean it's not as bad as it is when people aren't all on vacation, but we are seeing some big delays down the Trans-Canada Highway as you hit the construction zone with the bus lane widening. And the Souk Road Island Highway route actually quite backed up as well. You're starting to see the slowdown all the way back to Colwood Corners almost, which is quite, for summertime, it's actually quite busy. For the weather, it's going to be a mix of sun and cloud today, maybe sunnier as we get into it. Highs of 23, a little cooler by the water, a humidex of 27. Clear skies tonight, lows to 14, and right now we are at 14 degrees at the Victoria International Airport.
The best way to start an island morning. Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070.
It really was right down to the wire yesterday. It was late in the evening Eastern time when U.S. President Donald Trump announced on his social media that he was pausing the big latest tariff salvo he was going to shoot at Canada while negotiations continued between the Canadian and American sides on a trade deal. We're continuing to get reaction to all of this. And now joining us from the opposition conservative side of things, I've got Jeff Kibble. Of course, he's the MP for Cowichan and Malahat-Langford, and he's also the defense procurement critic. And we've reached him on a plane, I believe. Jeff, how you doing?
Hey, Ryan. Yeah, thanks very much. I am sitting on a plane, so there might be a bit of background noise. We haven't taken off yet, but when we do, know that I will switch to airplane mode. So that's well after the interview, not to worry.
I love it. I actually kind of like that you got this little window, because whenever I'm on a plane, you're bored, and then you end up sitting there forever while things kind of get taken care of before you take off. So I'm glad I've caught you in this wonderful little moment that you're always trying to fill. This is great.
I'm my time is valuable, so I try to make the best efficiencies I can. Happy to talk with you.
Yeah, great. But if you hear plane noises in the background and announcements, that's what's going on. So I'm glad to let the audience in on that.
I'll just be putting my seatbelt on and my tray table up.
Very good. Okay, just initially, your first reaction to the news was kind of, I guess around the 7 o'clock hour our time last night, which in the grand scheme of things, pretty last minute when these, I left work yesterday going, I have no idea where this is going and if we're going to end up with this 50% tariff situation on a number of Canadian goods or not. Yeah. In the end, we got a 3-day delay. It's still hanging over us. But what was your take on how things played out yesterday?
Yeah, well, it's not surprising. The Prime Minister promised that he would have a deal back in July last year, and they've managed to leave it to the last minute. Mexico's been at the table negotiating for weeks and weeks, 3 weeks. We left it all to the last minute to set up a bunch of meetings and try and do something. So that's not a strong position to negotiate from, but I'm glad, I'm hoping that the Prime Minister does get a good deal. This is good for all Canadians. There's not a lot of details right now, so we'll find out.
Yeah, we're still waiting on any of those details. I know the Prime Minister's been very tight-lipped about what's happening. And we were talking to a Liberal member of Parliament, Will Greaves, a few moments ago. And again, he's not necessarily at the table here, has deep knowledge, but he was mentioning in any of these kind of negotiations, there's going to be compromise on both sides. How do you feel Canadians are feeling about compromise at this point? Do we need to give up a few things to get a deal and hopefully make some peace? Or would you rather see Canada not give up much at all, given the way things have gone recently with this U.S. administration? Well, what's your take on that?
Yeah, great question. And to get a deal, it takes compromise, but compromise should be part of negotiations. And unfortunately, the Prime Minister's capitulated on all kinds of things in advance of the negotiations. And he's even said some of our items like critical minerals for leverage are not factors. And yet, we're now hearing reports in the Globe and Mail of all kinds of things that we are compromising on. Some of them I think are good, but it's still compromise nonetheless, and we don't know what we're getting in return. Perhaps some tariffs reduced. Again, there's no hard information on it, but we don't know, is that going to impact forestry or autos? So while the Prime Minister right now says there's a lot of hard work still to be done, but, we don't know what we're giving up. We don't know what we're getting other than some tariffs reduced in exchange for a whole bunch of capitulations done both before this announcement and what the Globe and Mail seems to be reporting on as well, such as F-35s and wine.
Oh, yeah, and wine, a very interesting thing here in BC. What's the latest there? What do you know about that?
Well, we don't really know a lot other than there are some reports that they'll be lifting the ban on sale of purchasing of alcohol from the U.S. This is something that's going to help our wine industry here. But on the same note, we said that there would be, provincial tariffs dropped so that we can trade among ourselves. And that's not even happened. If that had been done in advance, that would have given us a position of leverage. But, that never was achieved. So a month ago, purchasing alcohol from the U.S. was bad. Now it's going to be okay.
I find that one, it's such a challenge because you need to get all of these provinces, because it's a provincial thing, it's not a federal government thing, to agree to somehow open up their monopoly on their liquor distribution, which in my experience, a lot of provinces are very reluctant to give up that control and that taxation control. So I understand the desire, but it just seems like that's a big problem to try to solve.
You're absolutely right. It's a long and arduous process, and they should have had this done a long time ago. That was something that was campaigned on with much fanfare, that all of these interprovincial tariffs and trade barriers, including alcohol and wine, would be lifted. But that was a promise that was made that took the provinces to sort out, and that is a promise that shouldn't have been made, and they got a lot of hope for people. But as you can see, we've lost that leverage. And another good example, the Globe and Mail is reporting that one of the capitulations is that Canada purchased all the F-35s as per the original deal. And, while I think those are excellent aircraft, they should be chosen based on their strategic capability, not as a trade bargaining chip. And, the Prime Minister was saying, we're not going to spend money on defense in the United States. He said, 70 cents of every dollar spent in the States. We're going to change that. So these are his promises and his platforms. And now he's capitulating. So really not negotiating from a position of strength, all last minute. Certainly not somebody who's campaigned and potentially won the last election on saying, hey, I'm the only one that can deal with Trump. I'm the only one who can get a deal. Clearly, what he's over-promised and absolutely undelivered. And, time will tell, and we'll see what we do get. And as I said, I'm hoping that he is able to get a good deal. Not looking positive at the moment.
Jeff Gibble, Conservative Member of Parliament for Cowichan and Malahat-Langford. He's also the defense procurement critic, and he's also on a plane, so we're hearing those in-flight announcements starting to happen. I'll let you go so you can get back to it, but thank you so much for making some time for us on your busy travel day.
Absolutely, Ryan. Have a great day, and happy to speak anytime. I'll be in Ottawa in a couple of hours, and always available for you.
Yeah, well, hey, it sounds like there's lots to talk about still as we get closer to something in 3 days or whenever it happens, so we'll be in touch.
Yeah, let's connect again when we have some more information and we can not speculate as much and have some hard facts, not reported facts.
Sounds good. Love it. We'll talk then.
Thank you. Cheers.
All right, we'll take a break. We got the 8:30 news coming up next. Lisa Best with more on this story and the rest of the top stories of the day.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
40 years of Fringe magic. Experience Victoria Fringe Festival, August 26th through September 6th. Feel the roar at Pacific FC. Get your soccer tickets today at cplsoccer.com. West Shore Swap Shop and Market is at Rally at Royal Bay every Sunday. Support Goldstream Food Bank with a $2 admission or a food donation.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 8:31 on Wednesday, August 19th. Looking at a mix of sun and cloud today, getting sunnier as the day goes on. The day actually looks a lot like the last few, and right now it's 14 degrees. We'll get you all the weather information you can handle in just a few moments, but right now the news begins. Here is Lisa Best.
Thanks, Ryan. Good morning. Campbell River RCMP searching for a suspect who damaged several businesses over the past few days. At least 4 businesses suffered broken glass windows between 1:30 and 2 a.m. Friday morning. The suspect in that described as wearing all black with one yellow glove, a gray glove, and associated with a red bicycle. That was captured by video surveillance. The following day, around 6:15 in the morning, that'd be Saturday, another local business targeted with windows smashed. And then the next day, around 2 a.m., police responded to a break and enter a local restaurant, which had its patio window smashed, and 2 suspects allegedly entered the restaurant. Police still gathering evidence, working to connect these to see if they actually incidents are connected and the suspects are the same. Police are asking anyone who may have seen anything suspicious to contact them. This is in Campbell River. Nearby in Cumberland fire investigators say it was a lithium battery that was the cause of that blaze that damaged a cycling shop and a hostel in a historic building last weekend. The fire started in Dodge City Cycles on Dunsmuir Avenue around 9:30 Sunday night. Some 24 firefighters were called in to knock that blaze down. One Cumberland firefighter suffered minor injuries, now recovering at home. Fire crews now reminding anyone who has lithium batteries, electric batteries at home, do not leave them unattended while charging. Being present while charging them can help you detect any issues that may crop up and also may prevent a fire, because those fires do burn very hot and very fast when they do break out. Also, let your battery cool after use before you plug it in to recharge it. A deal is gelling, apparently, between the U.S. and Canada to avoid a swath of 50% tariffs that were to take effect as of midnight. The U.S. president says the deadline for those tariffs have been pushed back to Friday now to give officials time to sort out details. CTV's Michael Couture says we're learning from the American side that their 3 main trade irritants may have been addressed.
Canadian counter tariffs on U.S. autos, market access as well to Canada's dairy sector, and of course the alcohol ban, the American alcohol ban on U.S. store shelves. They wanted that gone, and they wanted the alcohol back on store shelves the day after a deal is signed.
CTV News chief political correspondent Vashi Capello says on top of that, Donald Trump also mentioned this deal includes the revival of the Keystone XL pipeline.
To be honest, we already knew that. At the end of April, he greenlit construction of a pipeline through from the Canadian side to Wyoming. Whether it's something in addition to that has yet to be clarified by anyone on either side of the border, but certainly we do know that the Americans want preferential access to our oil. The question is, what do we give them?
Prime Minister Mark Carney said in a statement last night that while substantial progress has been made in trade, there's still important work that has to be hammered out. As the last wave of mortgage renewals from the new era of ultra-low interest rate comes, a new survey suggests most homeowners have been managing higher payments.
A Royal LePage report says mortgage delinquency rates in Canada remain remarkably low compared with other developed countries, though some households have felt stretched by the rising monthly payments. The survey suggests 38% of Canadians expect their mortgage to rise upon renewal, a drop from early 2025, when 57% of renewing homeowners expected their payments to rise. Among those anticipating a higher payment for the month, 76% said it would place financial strain on their households, and more than half said they would reduce discretionary spending to make ends meet. However, nearly 3/4 of those with an upcoming renewal said they would not be changing their living arrangements. John Kennedy, The Canadian Press, Toronto.
If Marilyn Monroe were still alive this year, she would be turning 100. She would have turned 100 in June. The milestone is getting a special tribute because of that.
A kiss on the hand may be quite continental, but diamonds are
the legendary sex symbol is the latest icon to become a Barbie. Mattel is releasing the highly anticipated signature doll to commemorate what would have been Monroe's 100th birthday. It features her signature platinum bob hairdo and dresses Monroe in the hot pink gown with an oversized bow, opera gloves, and stacks of jewelry she wore for her legendary 1953 performance of Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend in the movie Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Mattel says it celebrates Monroe not just as a fashion icon, but also as a boundary-breaking artist and businesswoman. I'm Daria Albinger.
That's your CFAX News to 8:36. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question today. We're asking if you think the federal government is being firm enough in trade negotiations with the U.S. 79% on our website saying no, and that number is 70% on Twitter X. You can vote CFAX1070.com, also the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best. Your news time is 8:37.
Thanks, Lisa. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by CUPE Vancouver Island, working to deliver the public services island communities rely on. CUPE, better services, better communities. CFAX 1070 Sports, Victoria Shamrocks senior lacrosse team going into Game 3 of the WLA final tonight against the Coquitlam Adnacks with the series tied up at 1 game apiece. It's the Q Center. In Colwood again tonight. 6:30 is when that starts. So that's the senior Shamrocks. The junior A Shamrocks continue the Minto Cup. They had their third game of the tournament last night. This is the round robin. They're playing 4 games, 4 different teams. They defeated the St. Catharines Athletics 14-7 yesterday. So that's the junior A Shamrocks' first win of the tournament. They got 2 losses so far. The 1 win. They got 1 more game. Technically, they still could move on. So we'll see what happens in Game 4. For the Toronto Tempo, they are going to be taking on the Washington Mystics yesterday. But yesterday was the big... the Washington Mystics tonight is when that game is. Yesterday, the Tempo lost 101-95 against the visiting Indiana Fever. That's the one that featured the WNBA's star player, Caitlin Clark, playing her first game ever in Canada, getting 24 points and 7 assists for a sold-out crowd who showed up to see the star. All 3 Canadian Major League Soccer squads are in action tonight, including the Western Conference leading Vancouver Whitecaps, who host the Houston Dynamos in a first versus second showdown. The Caps are 2 points up on the Dynamo. Elsewhere, Toronto FC hosting Charlotte, while CF Montreal visits the Columbus Crew. And for golf, we've got... some action in Canada with Canada's own Brooke Henderson beginning her quest for a 3rd CPKC Women's Open Golf title. Round 1 is coming up at Edmonton's Royal Mayfair Club. The 28-year-old from Ontario captured last year's event in Ontario, Mississauga, and earned her first win in 2018 back in Regina. The field features 6 of the world's top 10 golfers, including top-ranked American Nelly Korda. That's your CFAX Sports to 8:39. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. No major crashes, incidents, or problems so far on the morning commute, although the West Shore commute into downtown Victoria has been a little heavier than our summertime travel has seemed recently. We do have backups on both the Trans-Canada and the Sooke Road Island Highway route into town. Just volume delays, just seems like a lot more people commuting today. We do continue to have the Fortis BC gas main work on Langford Parkway at Langford Lake Road. This has been going on for a while. It's going to continue to go on for a while. It's nothing unusual. I haven't mentioned it in a bit, so I thought I'd just point that out. There's a detour around it that seems to be getting people by just fine. And for the weather forecast today, we are looking at a mostly sunny day after some morning cloud and fog. We'll see highs of 23, a little humid as well, making it feel warmer in the humidity. But if you're by the windy Wanda-Fuca Strait, feeling a bit cooler. So, yeah, temperatures all over the place. Clear skies tonight, lows to 14. And then tomorrow, forecast looks exactly the same. On the markets in Toronto, S&P TSX, it's still up. It's dropping a little bit of its momentum, but up 212 points to 36,580. The New York Dow Jones up 260 to 53,603. Canadian dollar at 72.4 cents U.S., which is up a little bit from yesterday's close.
Let's get started.
Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Oh, and the CFAX Morning Show also brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season. Big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. Designed for comfort. South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. Lots of texts about our latest couple of conversations. We're, of course, talking about one of the big stories nationally, and that is the trade negotiations between Canada and the U.S. U.S. President kicking the 50% tariff threat down the road by 3 days while negotiations continue. On his social media, though, he seems to be very excited about what could be a deal that's being worked out. We don't have a lot of the details.
That makes me nervous.
Yeah. We've been having some interesting chats. So we were talking to, for instance, Will Greaves, the local Liberal MP. Now, he's not at the negotiating table or anything, but just from his perspective, we were asking him about the Keystone XL pipeline thing that got specifically mentioned by the U.S. president in his social media post. He mentions that the Keystone XL pipeline might be coming back from the grave because of this deal. The local MP's take, Will Greaves, I thought was interesting that this is weird. Like, why is this even a part of it? Canada has always been okay with proceeding with this. It's been the Americans who have been the ones stopping it.
Right.
So he was scratching his head over why that would be part of these trade negotiations, unless it's just Donald Trump trying to look like he's got some wins and lumping it in.
Posturing, right?
Yeah, posturing. So that was an interesting point because I was trying to get my head around this Keystone XL pipeline thing as well. And then there have been, even though there's no official word on exactly what is getting negotiated in this deal, the Globe and Mail newspaper has some inside information, they say, and they've got a bit of info. And Jeff Kibble, Conservative MP, who happens to also be the defense critic, seemed to think that maybe the F-35 purchase is showing up here.
Oh, okay.
Canada has been cooling our jets, so to speak, on buying the
That's good.
Yeah, you like that? On buying all the American F-35s that we had originally promised. Maybe exploring other options for the Swedish jets that maybe we could even build here.
Right.
But could going back to the full F-35 purchase be part of this? He was mentioning that, and he kind of had some questions about that. He didn't like that. The defense critic, he said he'd rather us make these decisions based on what Canada's military needs, not on what our trade relationship needs. He'd like to see that as the lens instead of this. So he was a little alarmed by that, although that is just, again, not an official word on negotiations. It's just some info being reported in the Globe and Mail, but still interesting take.
And lots of info being batted around. The less transparent government is, the more we're going to come to our own conclusions. Whether it's us or the opposition, we want information so badly about this because we want to make sure that we come out on the winning end of this, or at least something that is a very good deal for Canada as well. And the worry is somehow it's not going to be, or somehow we're going to get duped. And I don't think that is going to be the case, but it's still something somewhat worrisome. We do want the focus to be on protecting our own borders rather than protecting the U.S. interests.
If you missed any of our coverage today, you can follow the Ryan and Lisa podcast on any of your podcast services, including the iHeartRadio app, or just going to CFAX1070.com. You can also watch this radio show on YouTube, like and subscribe to us there. You can see the video highlights, and there's so many ways to catch CFAX 1070 and listen to the things you missed, like today's coverage.
Right?
We're all over, nationwide. 8:45, time for the headlines with Lisa.
Kind of slightly terrifying. Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc and Chief Negotiator Janice Charest are meeting this hour with the U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer in Washington, D.C. The sit-down comes 12 hours after the U.S. President announced that 3-day pause on the 50% tariffs on Canadian goods, a host of Canadian goods from honey to hockey sticks worth $28 billion. An official proclamation for the tariff pause from the White House says Canada has committed to removing discriminations that the U.S. said didn't apply to other countries. That includes a provincial booze ban on U.S. products, Canada's retaliatory quota on tariff-free American vehicle imports, and the dairy supply management system. The BC government has said all along that what Canada decides to do with the provincial or with booze is their own discretion. So we'll see what happens here with BC, because our BC liquor stores do not carry U.S. booze currently. Most evacuation orders have been listed near Summerlin's Bald Range wildfire, allowing residents to return to some 3,000 properties to assess the damage. The fire is still burning out of control, torching about 220 square kilometers of land. Crews are chipping away at it, though, so hopefully they can get a hold on it soon enough. Officials do say 150 structures were damaged or destroyed, including 40 in Summerlin. And the BC Wildfire Service says dry fuels and possible stronger winds this week could cause a jump in fire activity. We have 21 fires burning here on Vancouver Island as of this hour, 8 of them considered out of control. The larger picture, 129 fires. Province-wide, 44 considered out of control. And that is your CFAX news to 8:48.
Local tragedy we learned about yesterday. A 27-year-old man died from drowning at Goldstream Falls, which is right near the Goldstream Park Provincial Campground. We're going to be talking about what we know about this story. Chris Opry, Langford Fire Chief, is joining us next with more details and checking in on how everybody's doing after that. That's got to be a traumatic thing to respond to as a first responder.
And a lot of bystanders jumped in to try to save his life, so it's extremely traumatizing.
Yeah. Busy campground, of course, obviously, with summer in full swing. More on that coming up. We've also got your traffic and weather. If you see a problem, text us at 71010.
Developing political story, a big doozy.
Vashi Capellos.
What started as a dull day is anything but.
The top newsmakers.
Your go-to political debrief. Daily.
What is really going on?
The breaking news.
Just moments ago.
And the entertaining analysis and debate to follow.
I don't think you can sugarcoat it. It's an issue.
It's not true, guys. Yeah.
Vashi Capellos.
There is a greater plan here.
Vashi Capellos. Weekdays, 9 a.m. to 11.
Bigger picture politically, which is
on CFAX 1070.
To the roads, CFAX 1070 traffic and weather now. By the way, the morning show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Heading out on a summer road trip, shop at Thrifty Foods. Swipe your Scene Plus card, save up to 15 cents per liter at Shell. See in store for details. On the roads, I've been mentioning, heavier than maybe normal summertime commuting volume from the West Shore into Victoria. We've seen our major routes quite backed up, although it's starting to ease a little bit now. The Souk Road Island Highway route into town definitely starting to clear up after some bigger backlogs earlier on. For the weather forecast today, it's a mainly sunny day, a little foggy for some of our coastal areas, but that's going to clear up as the day goes on. Highs of 23, a little bit of humidity back in the air, making it feel warmer, but a little breeze off the Wandafuka Strait, making it feel cooler. Long range forecast, tonight, first off, that's not so long range. Clear skies, lows to 14, but then the next 2 days, Thursday, Friday, look exactly the same as today. Then the overcast skies are going to be with us for Saturday and Sunday, getting cloudy. No rain as of yet, but some clouds for the weekend. Right now in Victoria, at the International Airport, our official temperature is 14 degrees. In downtown Victoria, though, in the harbor, it is 16 already.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
We saw a tragic drowning this week at the Goldstream Falls, which is right near the Goldstream Park Campground, a very busy place. when this took place, and it comes amid an overall spike in these kind of fatalities in BC, with the coroner's office recording 40 accidental drowning deaths from May 1st to July 16th. That's 14 more than the same period last year. In this latest case, although bystanders were able to pull the man from the water and life-saving measures were attempted, it did in the end prove fatal. Here to talk more about it, Langford Fire Chief Chris Aubry is on the line. We'll get you up here. Sir, thank you for joining us. And my condolences to everybody involved here, and including the first responders who had to respond to this. How's everybody holding up?
Well, thanks, Ryan. These types of calls are not easy, and obviously I do want to extend my condolences to friends and family of this individual. I mean, this was unfortunately very tragic and didn't have the outcome that we were hoping for.
No, and how did it play out? Can you talk us through the day and how things happened?
Yeah, at about 7:30, we got called along with BC Ambulance and RCMP to attend for a water rescue at the Goldstream Falls. And as you mentioned, that's at the top of the Goldstream campground area. And we arrived, bystander CPR was in progress, and, we ended up taking over and assisting with BC Ambulance, and we were able to get the individual up to the ambulance into hospital, where I understand he later passed away. So, yeah, just, it was a lot of, great effort by everybody to try to make a difference in the situation, and it's just unfortunate that it didn't transfer the way that we wanted it to go.
Yeah. Now, you're responding from the fire side, so I don't expect you to have this, but I guess I'm just curious, and maybe this pivots into the message about how safe you got to be around water, because I know this spot well. We've camped at Goldstream Park a lot. I'm sure a lot of locals have. You go down that flight of stairs, you get into that little swimming pool by the waterfall. It's beautiful. It doesn't seem that big. It doesn't seem like it should be dangerous. Like, I've swam there with my kids before. You kind of bob around. I guess it is deep. You could certainly get to a point where you can't touch the ground at parts, but it's a fairly small area. It looks very just picturesque and safe. But that's, I guess, the thing. Sometimes, it doesn't matter how deep it is or how treacherous it looks. There's always that risk of drowning.
I think you've raised some very valid points there. What I understand is that, most drownings occur in natural bodies of water. So that's our rivers and our lakes. And, we may not be as familiar with those. Obviously, when you have a pool in your backyard, it's a controlled setting, you know that well. There's always a lot of safety protocols and things in place that you put in your own house. And not to say that, those are not, areas that we have to watch out for drowning as well. But, typically, we go to an uncontrolled setting. We don't know those bodies of water that well, and there could be drop-offs. If it's a river, it could be currents. We may have been there multiple times, but water level, certainly, in times of drought, could be at different levels than we have expected or experienced in the past. So, really knowing the body of water that you're swimming in, and having a good idea of what your swimming abilities are, so that as you go into these bodies of water, that you're not overextending your ability to rescue yourself. And if you happen to, say, fall into the water suddenly, how are you going to be able to make sure that you can get to shore? So those are really important things to remind ourselves of before we go out to these waterways, is really get a chance to check the conditions and understand what it's going to be like when you go in the water, and are you able to your swimming skills strong enough to be able to get yourself out of it.
And are we aware at all what happened in this particular case with this 27-year-old man? Because again, you scratch your head, like how does something like this happen? Do we know what happened here?
I don't know for sure. I know some of the crews had mentioned that, maybe not a strong swimmer, but I don't know if that's the case or not. So it's just what was sort of reported to me from the crews. So, but, there was another person there. And that's what the other key thing is, don't swim alone. And there was another individual there that, at least was able to, call 911 and get help to arrive. So, that's a very important thing, is don't swim alone, and, have somebody watching over you. It didn't work in this situation, but it does, make a big difference in most cases. So,
Chris, can you address the ongoing problem with alcohol use on the water in general, and the trouble we can get into?
I think we need to look at, when we obviously know drinking and driving is an issue, and we don't drink and drive. And we have to really look at being around bodies of water, of having that same level of understanding, especially when we're boating, but even when we're swimming. I don't think alcohol was a factor in this particular case, but it can be, and it has been in a lot of the drownings that we've seen throughout the last couple of years in the province. So, I think if you're going to go out and swimming, it's probably the time to, switch to other types of beverages and make sure that alcohol is not a factor, because it is, unfortunately, in a lot of the cases of drowning, alcohol is a factor.
Not necessarily that we suspect that in this particular case,
Right.
but just in general that's a good piece of advice.
That's right. Yeah.
And can you also just share one thing? How long does it take a person to drown?
It can only be, seconds. I mean, obviously in very small puddles of water, can, especially if you're talking about young children, a couple of breaths of the water, going in can cause drowning. And it may not be, a body of water that we think, oh, well, there's no way that someone can drown in that. But, inhaling the water, can cause drowning in, whether it be, causing a stop to the breathing, or whether you're just inhaling the water and that's also causing health issues.
Chris Aubry is. We got to cut you off. Langford Fire Chief, thank you so much. Again, condolences to everybody involved, but thank you for sharing the story today.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
All right. We got to go. Out of time. Talk tomorrow.